So I think we're at the point where we just roll with it.
Okay, you let me know when.
Real quick, let me just refresh the donations just to be sure nobody donated for this. Okay, no. We're good.
Sounds good.
All right.
And yeah, there's like a good 20-second delay between your stream and the live stream.
Okay, that's not as bad as I thought, actually. That'll work pretty well. All right, switching it live.
Cool.
And we're staying here, because I'm picking you up, you're coming through my stream.
Yeah, I'm good.
So I'm going to boost your audio just slightly first. That should be good. Okay, just heard from these.
Okay.
Hello, friends! Welcome to Final Fantasy I for the PSP. The perhaps most broken version of this game, and boy is that saying something. Darkmoon's with me. How are you, Dark?
I'm doing pretty good. And you are not wrong about this. This game could be pretty vanilla normally, except for the one glitch that's just gonna completely annihilate this game.
That is true. Now, I didn't see any donations for names, so we are going ahead with some people who have contributed to me getting to this point with this run. This is a category I invented, and just gotta name the party members. Welcome everybody in chat, hope you're having fun, and thank you so much for having already met the incentives for this run. So we have a couple, the friends we made along the way, and a bonus dungeon.
Was that supposed to be Swaney or Sonny?
Sonny. Mistakes were made.
Want to make sure.
Here, we'll give it easy.
Oh man, you had to redo the whole thing? Oh.
Yes, I hit the wrong button. My controls are inverted from FF1 to FF2.
Oh, okay.
So occasionally that throws me. Right.
I think you typoed it again.
No, I'm going with Swanee. I'm abbreviating.
Okay, perfect.
We gotta get this show on the road.
Sounds great.
Alright, in 3, 2, 1. Alright, very quickly we're gonna do some menuing here that sets up our controls for the game, and while I'm already in the menu, we're gonna get rid of this armor that people don't need, because we only need one warrior flag. We don't need 4. That's just wasteful. Also, folks, you contributed for the friends we made along the way. Here's our first one already. Well, she doesn't actually have her name in this version. But do you want to tell the people who that is?
That would be Arilon? I'm terrible with names, apparently.
Good enough. So she is a dancer, and in the NES version she has a name, so that is our first friend that we made along the way.
Interesting. You know, that's the thing of playing speedruns of these enough. You don't pay attention to the fact that characters actually, have names.
Pick up a cure spell. That's going to be my primary source of healing for the early game.
Okay, I just saw you equip a bunch of knight armors right there, and I know that's the glitch, but did you want to explain that glitch?
So in short, the way this game stores data is we have index values for armor and equipment, and they're inverted. So the number 6 has a value for both armor and or a weapon. Not saying literally the number 6, just it's an example. Then when we equip armor as a weapon, or weapon as an armor, we get the value 6. So the game sees the same index value, but it's treating it as an entirely different thing. So weak weapons become strong armor, and weak weapons become... weak armor becomes strong weapons. That's what I'm trying to say.
It's one of those glitches that you're just sitting there going, no one noticed this when they were making this game? Because it's game breaking, especially once you start getting some of the better gear.
Very game breaking, and specifically, let me mention this real fast. The definition of a solo character run is 0 EXP. So as you'll notice, nobody in my party has gotten any experience so far. And that's the way it's going to stay. Nobody but the red mage is going to get any. Alright. Got my
This leather cap's going to be from what?
That is a judgment staff, which is one of the bonus content items that was added, and it has the nice benefit of casting flare.
That's new, right? If you're used to the NES version?
It is indeed. And just a quick mic adjustment there to hopefully make this a better experience for everyone. Now we're going to see about Garland here.
Oh, the knight's on the ground. Boo.
That's actually good news. Garland is our source of killing off everybody.
Oh, perfect. So one less thing we have to worry about then.
Yep, and as you can see, he's just not going to do any damage to Dark here. And it'll take 4 hits. So we're going to be a round off of optimal, unfortunately. Also, nice quality of life feature they added in this version is you can run away by holding L and R. So, typical Square RPG. But Garland's giving us bad turn order here. He keeps attacking Dark. What'd you do, insult his cape?
We can't let that white mage get any experience.
Oh, but he's going to die in the next melee hit, so this is just a question of killing turns until he takes out Toku. There we go.
Perfect.
So Tokahiro is one who has helped me in plotting out equipment in this route, which is very different from the any % route. I've made some changes to optimize the red mage. That's actually ahead of PB on the split for Garland, but that won't last. My PB is a 202 at this. Obviously, I've added a considerable bit of time because we're going to be doing some marathon save strats. Predominantly, that's going to be save anywhere, but also you voted for the incentive of friends we made along the way and for a bonus dungeon run. So obviously, we won't challenge PB here.
You have people in chat commenting about how good this game looks, even if it is slightly slower than the Game Boy Advance version in some respects. I will admit, this game is gorgeous. I love the detail on the screen.
So now that we've dealt with everybody else, we're going to put our red mage back into the front of the party, and I'm going to go ahead and run one of these knight's armors. One's all I need right now. I only glitched the second one for money purposes. And we have the first of our cutscenes that we can't skip. We have to watch this. Feasel, if you want to jump in here and read anything, now'd be a good time. Alright, so I guess we're good on that front for now, and thank you so much for everybody who has contributed to everything so far. I mean, I woke up on the morning of day 2 and all my donation incentives had been met, so I felt honored by that. Thank you all so much for supporting the cause and supporting a couple of runs from me.
We have a question in chat from Beatrice asking if running was supposed to do something during that Garland battle. It mostly just used up turns since you couldn't run away and prevented you from getting experience on a character you didn't want to have experience on.
That is correct. The other thing it accomplished is I had already done enough melee hits with the red mage that the next one was going to kill Garland.
If I got waited out, basically.
Yeah, if I got 2 crits on him, you can kill him in 3 turns, but because I didn't see those crits, it takes 4, and 4 whacks with the Judgment Staff, it consistently kills him. So I did 3, and then I just ran with the red mage until he killed off the white mage.
So, did we hit the next friend that we met along the way back at the castle?
You are correct, sir, and I owe people a return trip. I will do that when we go for the TNT. Remind me then, please.
Will do. It's a good stop along the way. It's not a big deal.
Really, the only one that's time-sensitive is Arleon, the dancer, because there's no other time we go back into town. I'll also mention that among the Red Mage's many wonderful, extremely vast and broad talents, running away from fights is not one of them.
That is true. They classically have one of the worst run chances in any of the games whatsoever. Good thing you have a judgment staff.
Oh yes, we're going to make ample use of this to kill enemies off. Now the Red Mage, of course, can learn dark magic spells and black magic, dark magic, whatever you want to call it. But unfortunately, his damage output just isn't nearly as good as it is with Claire. In an any percent run, you would have a black mage who would get magic boosting equipment that would offset that, and then it would do enough damage plus be faster animation. So instead, we're going to blow a lot of things up. So, chat, I hope you like blowing things up, because we're going to blow a lot of things up.
So is there, because you're doing this basically what's effectively a walking grind right here, having to judgment staff down basically everything as you find it this Red Mage can't run, do you have a lengthy grind coming up in this run that we are actually going to be seeing?
It's not a lengthy grind. We are going to get experience in two places specifically. One's for marathon safety that I normally wouldn't do in a PB run, and that's going to be in the Earth Cave. Then the other will be the classic getting levels from the eyes in Ice Cave.
Nice.
Question in chat, does running keep the other team members from popping up? You can either manually select run, but it's just faster to input holding L and R.
Gotta love seeing just ones on that Red Mage right there. Nice beefy armor already.
Yeah, and that's just with one knight armor, but we're actually about to replace it. Get a boat!
You know, he was just here looking to get into the shipping business, and then you come along, cast nuke at him, steal his ship. How are we the hero?
Because reasons. Alright, so I need 10 antidotes and 10 ethers. We have those now. And I am going to do just a little bit of menu ordering here so that the Judgment Staff is my first item.
Ma Demo Man saying, the Judgment Staff seems rather OP. You would be correct. There's a reason this wasn't in the vanilla game on the NES. The ability to cast nuke at will is one of those things that's just horribly broken.
That is true. So, base game, it's a level 8 spell that the Red Mage could not even learn. In this version, bonus dungeons were added with the GBA version, and then also with the PSP version they were continued. And some very good stuff was added in those bonus dungeons.
I'm thinking of a particular sword. Will that sword be showing up in this run with your Red Mage?
If you mean the Barbarian Sword, we will be getting that fairly soon.
Nice. I was trying to avoid too much in the way of spoilers there for people who haven't seen one of this run.
Yeah, we'll try not to jump ahead too much. Now, most of this follows the basic premise of the any percent PSP run, which uses 4 characters, but again, you know, who needs that many? That's just wasteful.
Yeah.
That'd be about an hour 30 run. We're looking at an extra 30 minutes from just doing it with the one character. Right, so we are coming up to the town of Elfland, where we have to do a bit of shopping. Not too much, just a little bit. And this is
watching it. Oh, you're saying?
Now go
no,
ahead.
I was just commenting on the fact that, you know, watching it, the Judgment Staff is great, but it is slow.
It is indeed slow, so we're going to try and speed some things up here. Oh, I don't need to shop. Okay, maybe just a slight little bit of nerves going on here. Dark Claymore. And This one may be familiar to you, Dragon Mail.
Wow. Really?
Really? Want to give people a brief rundown on that?
Well, if we're talking the NES game, Dragon Mail is both the best armor that a knight can wear, only a knight, not the original fighter, because it has the best absorb on it, as well as the fact that it has protection against 3 different elements: fire, ice, and lightning, or bolt, or whatever version of the game you're in that you're calling it at that point. So Trenton here just equips 3 pieces of Dragon Mail on all of his available armor slots, which is ridiculous, and then just wanders off.
Pretty much. So we equipped a sword as well, and this sword is a modest sword, but very good for this stage of the game. And it animates just a little bit faster than the Judgment Staff does, so I'll be using that wherever I can.
Cobras. Stupid poison cobras.
That's unfortunate.
Yeah, that's... the Dark Claymore, I don't think, is a sword that we traditionally see in the PSP run, in fact. So it's interesting seeing it here, you know.
No, they would still, in fact, be using the knight armor on the traditional run. The dragon armor is a variation I came up with for safety purposes. Unfortunately, it doesn't remove the biggest danger, but it removes other dangers, and it's actually better armor with better evade, so I get hit less often. Which is actually something that helps reduce risk a little bit, because what we have to worry about specifically is an enemy called the Ghast on the overworld, because he loves to stun us.
Stun touch. And your MDEF isn't high enough to even be able to shrug that off at this point.
No, it's not going to be until like mid-20s that we have solid resistance from that. Even then, I don't trust it particularly.
Yeah. Well, and that's part of the problem with the Red Mage in general, is that they can do everything to an extent, but none of their stats grow nearly as well as they do for, like, other particular party members.
No, but we're also handing him some really good stuff. I'm going to take a couple of these preemptives as an excuse to run away, just to speed things along, and then I'll make up the experience with the giants, which I was going to do once.
Yeah,
Marsh Cave
is...
Marsh Cave is pretty nice to us, but we have to worry about the crawls here.
Marsh Cave is nice to us? I think that's the first time I've ever heard anyone say that about this dungeon in any cave.
It was nerfed in this.
Okay, that's fair.
Chad asked a question if we're going to class change to a red wizard. Yes, we are.
Because you want those, do you want to, is it for the couple of extra higher level spells you might need?
It is for one specific spell that I cast at max 5 times.
Yeah.
This is an above average poisoning run. I've already been poisoned 3 times.
Yeah. You know, I'm so used to the randomizer, I forget that werewolves even have the chance to, you know, poison you.
Yeah, this is true. Also, the other fun thing is the little green numbers popped up there for their regen. There was this myth about Final Fantasy I that regen didn't work. It always worked. It's just for really small numbers, so that you wouldn't really notice.
Yeah, when you're hitting creatures for a couple 100, 300 damage, them getting 3 health between rounds doesn't really seem like much of a difference.
Question in chat, is it possible to solo the game with Black or White Mage? I haven't routed it yet, because I've been worried about the Red Mage route, and I'm trying to break 2 hours if I can. Boy, I keep getting poisoned. White Mage is the next one I plan. Black Mage, be very possible. I don't even question that you could do it.
Well, and there's the fact that in the NES version of the game, people have actually plotted out the solo runs for those. They take forever. I think one of our community members at the randomizer, Will Bloodworth, has a 8-hour solo thief run that he's done. So it is possible to play it through with any character class, and the PSP version being easier would certainly aid in that. It just depends on how much time you want to devote.
Our first unrunnable encounter that we see, and our first trap tile that we see, is the Pisca Demons, known as Wizards in the NES version. And it's nice to see 3 instead of just 2 because it's more experience for something that takes the exact same amount of time.
Indeed. And, I mean, since you had to take a couple that you ran away from before, that little bonus to the experience really helps. And now we have the crown. And the crown is a key item that, if you haven't played through the game before, you need just to be able to escape the inner sea, because it's, like, part of a 20-step process to get out of the Circle Sea. Oh no!
Yeah, so we unfortunately encountered a crawl. He's a rare encounter here, and it looks like we're going to have to redo the Munch Cave. I'll let him kill us just in case I recover. But, that's going to be it.
Yeah, stun touch is brutal.
But the biggest thing is, if you're doing that with a full party, you'd obviously would have no trouble killing it off anyways, because your person in slot 4 is not likely to get hit, and they can throw out a Judgment Staff and kill it, and you win.
Yeah.
But I only have one person, so therein lies our risk.
And even if you want to bring someone back from the dead to act as a meat shield up front, that's a life spell, and you don't have it.
I could buy Phoenix Downs, but I would still count that as not being a solo run.
That's true. That's fair. I kind of forget that this game has Phoenix Downs because I'm so used to the NES version.
Yeah, they made a lot of quality of life changes, so if you want to just get into the game casually, it's a very good version to do it with.
Yeah, PSP and the GBA versions are really fun for casual play. In part because they've done a lot to, like, just quality of life the game up, make it easier to get levels, make it faster to play. Like, if you play the NES game after watching one of these, it just the speed of the characters moving on the overworld, how slow the transitions are between dungeons and overworld and everything else, it just feels substantially slower. Oh, we have 4 of these guys this time.
Yeah, so even better.
Yeah. Let's just hope for no crawlers.
Yeah, that can be 2 to 4. The crawlers are a rare encounter, so I shouldn't see them again. I'm going to take 2 more of these, actually. I like to be level 13 for Astos.
That's fair.
I think with 3, I'll just do one of these, and if I don't make 13, then that's just bad RNG. Perfect.
Excellent.
So let's not die the same way twice. We'll do the safety here with the crown and the levels, and make our way to the Northwest Castle.
Awesome, which is the next step of our 20-step process to get out of Circle C. So Torza in chat asked, how do you use Flare this early? Well, that's a glitch in the game. The PSP version does not handle its equipment very well at all. And there's a way that you can... Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Oh. No!
Yeah, go ahead. We reset.
So you can glitch equipment in this game that you couldn't do normally. Like if you're just playing this without knowing about the glitch. And so you can end up with a Judgment Staff just by swapping out, I believe what it was, the cap. And then that ends up giving you the ability to cast Flare just at will, whenever you want. You know, free nukes, just as you feel like it.
Yeah, so it's a fun way to go through the game. Obviously for casual, well, you can do it casually once just for fun. The challenge in this is routing the game more than actually playing it.
Yeah.
But hey, that's true of most speedruns.
Yeah, if we weren't trying to go fast here, then we could sit on the overworld with that Judgment Staff for a bit, get a few levels, because the leveling in the any game that isn't the NES version is greatly sped up, too. But, you know, we're trying to go fast.
We get our revenge on death. That's good.
Eat it, zombies.
This is very interesting because this is some of the worst RNG I've ever seen on the early encounters.
Well, that's marathon luck for you.
It is. We're in good shape. I only buy 11 antidotes because that's usually enough for the run. We don't see a lot of poison after Earth Cave. Well, what do you know? Death strikes again.
Oh.
Let's see how we do. Alright, I'm going to reset on the stun touch there.
Well, at least you saved right outside of March Cave, so it's not super costly.
Yep. So the most OP part of this entire run is save anywhere. It's not the equipment glitch. It's absolutely save anywhere. Ogres are nice to see. They're better experience anyways.
And you can one-hit them with the sword.
Yep, that speeds up the encounters as well. I'll pretty much, whenever it's 2 enemies, I'll probably kill it with the sword.
Yeah.
It depends on mood sometimes and how much I want to menu. Sometimes I'll brute force it one way or the other because I don't want to shift the menu off of whatever I'm on currently. It's doing a cursor memory. Well, that's unfortunate. Good turn. One of the things I did for safety in changing this route is in the traditional any percent, you come here with knight armor, which is very heavy equipment, so it actually reduces your evasion. The dragon armor has much better evasion, as a couple of goblins miss me, so I'm theoretically taking less hits and improving safety just a little bit by having the different equipment.
Nice.
Alright, we are level 14 going in here, which feels really good. Ooh, a double ogre. Great to find this early.
Because they're a decent experience for the area and pretty good money, too.
Well, we sold a knight armor for pretty good on that front.
I'm just saying. We're casual people out there.
True. There will be some purchasing later in the run, but we're pretty good for now.
Nice thing about Astos' castle, no encounters within it.
No, and I'm deciding how much I wanted to heal. I want to be sure that health is good enough for this. And I was talking to you about this fight yesterday, and I said if I get him in under 3 tries, that's a good result. So we bring the crown to the king, who plot-wise would have asked us to go retrieve it for him, saying Astos threw it in the marsh cave, but he's actually Astos all along.
Oh my god! I did not see that coming!
And this is
lovely sprite.
This is the primary reason I get the sword. This is what we've got to dodge. Death spell. It's insta-death. And he got me.
Ugh. Well, that's the danger of Astos right there, and part of the reason why he's so scary in the vanilla game and any version of the vanilla game you play.
Yeah, of course, if you had 4 party members, that's not so scary, because actually you can live with him killing the first party member. But I only have 1, so I need to survive it.
Yeah, I think I've actually watched playthroughs of this where they're like, oh, my first party member didn't die. Well, now he gets more experience than I was expecting, and everyone else gets less.
Need good turn order here. And first, unfortunately, death. He missed, we're good.
Woohoo! Still, just saying, that is a really, lovely sprite. So well done.
There's some very good ones. They're not all winners, but there's some good ones. Dwight would like to know in chat, if I get extra EXP, I'm essentially getting 4 times the experience because it's all going into 1 character.
Yeah, this is one of the things that the game preserves from the vanilla game, which is the fact that, and this is actually traditional for many Final Fantasy games in the series, whatever experience you get is divvied up among your surviving party members that are in the party. So, by only having 1 party member alive, all the experience you're getting, instead of being divided by 4, isn't divided at all.
Alright, that was a low enough red encounter that I went for a run and we got away with it. Cobras I'm not going to try and run away from just because I don't want them to poison me as I'm running and have to menu anyways.
I'm amazed you ran at all, honestly.
Well, I'm level 15 now, so when you start talking about level 1 to 4 enemies, yeah, we can get away from you.
Yes, for everyone who's just tuned in, this is the PSP version of the original Final Fantasy, a Red Mage only run that Triton GL is doing for us today. It's a fun and enjoyable game in general, but with a broken glitch so that you basically have flare right off the bat.
And if you're sitting there thinking that this isn't enough Final Fantasy, don't worry, this marathon has more Final Fantasy available for you.
The not-so-final Final Fantasy.
That was a tease for you to mention that there's a randomizer run coming up tomorrow.
Oh, is there? I actually haven't looked at the schedule. Oh, you're right, because I'm I'm hosting it. Oh, thank you. Thank you for doing the cue that I probably should have been paying attention to. Yes, tomorrow at noon we will have a Final Fantasy randomizer race between, I believe, Burt Reynolds and Groggy Dog. So that will be fun to watch. That is on the randomizer of the original NES game. So enjoy the gorgeous graphics here, because we'll be going 8-bit retro with that tomorrow.
Alright, so we are to get a couple of NPC names in here just a little bit, but we got the crown, which Astos gave us the Crystal Eye from Matoya turn for, and now we gotta go pay a visit to her.
And don't forget to pop by Canalia Castle.
Well, I have to go there for the TNT anyways.
Perfect. Just making sure we don't forget about the queen that we met along the way.
This is true.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna give an honorable mention to the princess as well.
Perfect.
Because Sarah had a sister.
Oh, did she? Is this something
Did you never play this game casually?
I don't talk to townspeople. Oh, I get my story bit and I just kind of move on because I'm bored.
Chat's giving you the business, by the way, and I love it.
I saw that. That's fair.
That got me so distracted I forgot to run from this fight.
It's what I'm here for. I provide some lively entertainment and then get heckled by chat.
Alright, so we are on a fetch quest that eventually gives us the Mystic Key, and we'll have 2 more stops for that.
So, and this is the cutscene you'd get normally when you first come to her cave here, and you're supposed to be like, oh, I need to get the Crystal Eye, so that when you actually pick up the Crystal Eye, you know where to turn it back into.
Yeah, they added several reasons. Well, that's never happened before!
I will catch up with you in just a second.
There's a broom standing in front of the door!
Oh no! Brooms, why?
I think we're soft-locked.
Because it won't get out?
Yeah, it's... wait. There we go. I have never seen that happen to anyone before. Not just me, I've never seen that happen.
Yeah, that's not something I've ever seen happen in the NES game. That's pretty hilarious, actually.
That's easy for you to say!
I mean, you were laughing too.
That wasn't a fun laughter.
But no, I was just gonna comment that it's actually pretty solid game design when you're first playing the game, because you have when you're originally playing this game, you have a branching path right there at the start. Provoca's a ways away. You just got the bridge. You're kind of curious to explore northward. You go north and you meet the little witch there, and she's like, I can't find my Crystal Eye. And you're like, okay, well, if I come across the crystal, I'll know where to turn it in. And it kind of just walks you into knowing where your fetch quests need to go and what you need to do for the vanilla game. It's really well done, honestly.
Igloo, thank you so much for the bits. All of the bits and sub-donations that happen during the marathon go to the charity itself.
I feel like now we need to get a Broom of Doom added into the randomizer.
A what now?
A Broom of Doom, after the broom that blocked you.
What would a Broom of Doom be?
Probably just, add some special text to one of the brooms in her dungeon, or her cave.
Alright, so I'm going to pop back into the Town of the Elves here, and we're going to make a purchase, and that is a spell. They changed the spell system here. Obviously, we have MP instead of slots. The other thing they did with that is restrict it to levels, so that you can't buy something at too low of a level. So I'm now high enough level that I can buy haste.
Yeah, that's something that they put in here just to try and keep the balance going. You're not going to be able to get spells at certain levels until you've actually earned them, unlike in the vanilla game where as soon as you find a slot somewhere, you just buy it and you're good to go as long as you can learn the spell. So it's one of those things to try and gate you in the game a little bit and prevent you from getting too far ahead power-wise. Which is part of what makes the fact that you have a nuke stick so enjoyable.
Yeah, that's fun. I don't care who you are, that's just fun.
Oh, it's delightful. And now you have the key. And the prince gets out of bed.
He is. We brought the sodas for the LAN party. He was happy, and it is time for some equipment glitching.
Nice. Yeah, and in the NES game, you actually don't get to see the prince get out of bed. He's like, "I am awake, thank you," and then just kind of goes back to taking a snooze. Waking up took so much out of him. So we're getting the Thief's Armlet. What does the Thief's Armlet do?
Particularly the reason we get it is for stats. It's going to raise his agility, which improves our turn order and improves our ability to run away from stuff.
Nice. Which we need, because the Red Mage, as we said, can't run away from stuff most of the time.
Yes, and we're coming up on the Earth Cave, which is the most threatening part of the run.
I still think it's funny, because when you play the NES game, the part you're most worried about is Marsh Cave, and they made Marsh Cave actually, well, traditionally halfway tolerable, even though you died twice in it.
Yeah,
Marsh Cave got a Marsh.
It wouldn't be Marsh Cave otherwise.
I know, right? So don't forget the Queen.
Yep, we're going to pick up
And
the nitro powder first.
Cool. So this is a question I have for you. There's some doors late in the game that normally you wouldn't realize are locked in the NES game because you already have the mystical key. Are they also locked here in this version?
They're not en route, so it's something I've never looked at.
Well, there's the one that's in the final dungeon.
Okay, if you remind me then, I'll try and examine it.
Cool, let's do it. I'm curious.
Here's Queen Jane. So, one of our friends.
Hey, Jane!
Chat, you wanted to see our friends along the way. You donated for this, so let's see some friendship emotes, some heart emotes, whatever you got.
Oh, so this is where the other sister is?
That was the other princess.
Nice.
She's one whose dialogue actually changes in the NES version. First thing she'll do is tell you about her missing sister, and then she'll thank you for rescuing her sister. And she will actually be the one who will tell you that her sister wants to give you the loot. So it was a built-in dialogue to tell you that you needed to get something from the princess that you rescued.
Dialogue prompts. Good game design once again, even though apparently, young me never bothered paying attention and older me just doesn't bother talking to people anymore. So we're heading over to the Dwarf Cave, and we have a friend here that we need to meet as per the notes that I have here. But the Dwarf Cave also is basically the last step in the process of you finally getting out of the Circle C.
That is true. I'm actually going to do 2 here, so we're going to talk to 3 total. First of all, unfortunately, this is the nerfed Hooray Dwarf! He always says Lolly-Ho. Second, because we don't actually do the Excalibur Smithy McBeard sword, he gets ignored this run. So show a little love to Smithy McBeard sword up there.
Smithy McBeard sword, yeah, because you're not going to bother picking up the adamant, right?
Correct.
Yeah. And so his life dream of making the Excalibur will go unfulfilled this round.
Sadly,
and
we just have no time for that in the 80% run.
No.
And Narek likes blowing things up. Thank you, everybody, for the good luck wishes in chat. I greatly appreciate it. We have taken a few deaths so far. What are we at? 4? 1 to the crawl.
3, certainly. Two stun touch from the ghasts, I believe. I think we're only up to 3. No,
there was 1 to the crawl and 1 to Astos.
Yeah. Okay, so we are at 4 then.
Yeah, we may add 1 or 2 more.
I'm sure. So this is where you place the TNT and you blow a hole through Swamp Cave and end up at Sharlock's castle, right?
Sure, why not?
I may have been watching a little too much Dragon Warrior Randomizer lately.
Too much? What are you talking about?
But hey, nice to know here that Narek actually survives, because in some versions of this game he takes the TNT and then disappears and is never seen or heard from again.
Alright, so we
Poor
have
Eric.
finished with the dwarves. We get on our boat, and this is your due warning. You're heading to Melmont. Now, this is a place that exists.
Poor
If-
Melman.
If you're familiar with it in the NES version, it's worse.
Really?
Oh, yes!
I am curious though, because I don't know how many times the runs actually point out on PSP normally how bad Melman is, so I am curious. You are getting like all these Giga Worm ogre fights.
Yeah, I'm not so crazy about the worms, but the ogres are good.
Mm-hmm.
I would actually rather just be able to move along, but they're still decent for this point in the game.
Okay, is it just me, or is the encounter rate stupidly high?
It's being a little stupidly high right now.
It's
In the NES, we're able to manipulate the overworld encounters. Can't do that on PSP, unfortunately.
Yeah, because the NES is basically just like a flat, linear step system that you can... The way you can manipulate it is just by hard resetting or soft resetting to go back to the start or not, as the case may be. This is a generated step counter, isn't it? Based on, like, chance and how many steps you've taken and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay. So how much worse is Melmond here, and why?
I mean, I think what you're going to be seeing right about now pretty well answers that question.
Oh, hey, Barbarian Sword. Lovely.
Barbarian Sword is very lovely. We're now done with our weapons for the rest of the game.
Oh, there's someone in town you need to talk to.
You're right, but we're going back there, so let's get it
Okay.
after.
Perfect. Just want to make sure.
And
So you have some goals here for what you're going to be doing in Earth Cave. Not just the fact that you have to get down and actually get the whole fetch quest again, because this game loves fetch quests. But you also have a level goal in mind for this dungeon too.
yeah, so we're coming in at 16, which is a little low for the floors we're going to go through. So I'm going to dip on over here. You don't normally get to see this, but it's something I added for marathon safety. This is the Hall of Giants. And the Hall of Giants is got trap tiles in which you get giants, giants, and more giants.
Thus the name, Hall of Giants. Yeah, this is actually a fun place to go if you're using the randomizer version of this game, the NES game, and you have like randomized trap encounters here. Because the spike tiles here can have all kinds of different encounters on them, some of which can be really lovely grinds, but even the giants, or as in this case, hill gigas here, are worth decent experience for the level you're at.
Unfortunately, though, they have a lot of HP.
Did you mean to attack that first one?
I should have done the Judgment Staff first and then attacked the giants. Because right now, my stats aren't good enough. It'd take like 3 flares to kill the giants, but one hit of the sword.
That comes back to the fact that the red mage's intelligence isn't as high as the black mage, and your intelligence actually influences the spells you cast off of the various sticks and so forth. Yeah.
So 2 fights here is enough. Got good enough levels now, and we'll be able to go through the rest of the Earth Cave. The
2 fights, even though you only got 1 hill gigas here?
Correct, because we actually already got the level up on the last fight. I was just doing the second fight for good measure anyways.
Nice. Okay. Yeah, that again points out the fact that leveling up in this version of the game is much faster than in the vanilla game.
Yeah, it also has the benefit of it scrolls through so much faster, so that you can almost miss it if you aren't paying close enough attention.
Yeah.
First 2 floors of Earth, we aren't too scared of anything, but the 3rd floor is one I have dubbed Floor of Frustration. And that is where more runs will die than any place else.
Oh look, poison! How nice. So, question in chat is asking if it's friends you met along the way, or the friends you missed first, then met along the way. It's a little bit of both right now.
Well, see, my original plan is that incentive wasn't going to be met. I was going to talk it up during the run, and then we were just going to do it all at the end. And then you all went and met it on the first night, so it's like, okay, well, let's figure out how to route it in. But hey, we have to go back to most of these places multiple times anyways.
Yeah, that's the one nice thing about this game, quote-unquote nice, is the fact that you do have to go and backtrack the areas more than once. Again, because of all those fetch quests we have to do, and if you really love seeing the third floor of Earth Cave, don't worry, you're gonna get to see it twice.
Minimum. So the other big reason for the equipment change is unfortunately not really paying off for me right now, but with the higher agility, we're trying for better turn order. Now, I could do 3 Thieves Gauntlets and theoretically do even better than that, but they don't have as good of absorb, obviously, as the Dragon Armor does. Plus, there's actually some elemental damage that's out there that the Dragon Armor is useful for. So I stick with 1-2 method.
You still have the item that you'd use to glitch equip the Dragon Armor at this point if you were to unequip it?
Yeah, because I don't waste time selling anything. I don't need the money.
Perfect. Alright. So if you had to, you could, but there's really no point.
No, because you wouldn't know when you were going to need the thieves instead of the dragon.
Yeah. Are you gonna save scum on this floor at all, or are you just gonna try and run it?
We're gonna do a couple safety saves. I'm gonna go like halfway here. This looks like a good time. We actually got a very nice hero run.
That was lovely. Woo! Oh, the bats! Not the bats!
The bats, the nemesis of Jay Coper, who has had many a run affected by those NPC walks. Of course, who hasn't, but his are sort of notorious.
It's not like you didn't just see like a really nasty broom encounter back in Matoya's cave.
Yeah, I think I got that one on him. Alright, we've actually done fairly nicely on the encounters. The biggest concern here is the ghasts because of stun touch. The mummies are actually a little scary because of sleep, and the race can also stun us as well. But they only hit once instead of 3 times, so it's considerably less hits of stun touch that we're worried about.
And yeah, that's one of the things that the game does, is if you have a touch effect off of an enemy, each time they effectively hit you, that's a chance for them to use their touch effect. It's kind of rude, honestly. So, here we have the vampire. He is the immortal vampire. None can kill him. This will be a long and hard-fought battle.
Of 1 round of the barbarian sword.
Woo! There we go. He didn't get gazed. I was really worried I stopped you. And then that really tough battle, and oh, he's gone. Okay.
Yeah, it just takes that one shot with the barbarian sword.
If you didn't realize,
okay,
immortal
jerk birds. Hold their breath. They can turn us into a statue.
Oh.
And turn order was good.
Ah. Well, thankfully they missed you. That's a touch effect on them too, isn't it? Stone touch?
Yeah, they can turn us into a statue.
Yeah.
That's actually an ability, but same net effect. Also, we're level 20 now, so we have much better resistance against that stuff. It's a huge difference. Plus, the agility's getting better. Just a lot of things get better as we level up.
And it's crazy to look at this and watch the fact that you're like level 20 right now, when, you know, like, vanilla runs of the game, you're lucky if you're level 12 at times getting out of this on the NES version. Just like, again, this game is crazy for how fast you can level up.
Death encounter, good turn order though.
Nice.
Yeah, I don't care what level I am, that encounter still scares me. Well, I mean, maybe by...
Question in chat for you, Trenton. Are you emulating this or actually playing it on your PS?
This is not hardware, but the runs are still considered valid as long as you don't tamper with the settings.
The load times are about the same between software and hardware?
Not 100% sure on this, but I think they might actually be slower. Or they're faster on console.
There you go, then. That might be part of the reason why they don't mind so much.
Yeah, I would have to defer to somebody with more expertise on that. Yeah. Definitive answer. So now I'm getting some preemptives here with these gargoyles, and I don't need levels. I can actually start running away from stuff on preemptives.
That's awesome. And that's part of the benefit of that thief armlet, is that your agility's gonna make that easier to get, like, preemptives.
Yeah, it's giving me more preemptives, less ambushes, and better chances to run away. Evade is technically better as well. So there's several benefits to having it, because those ghasts, they can ambush. Cutting out those ambushes is quite the benefit.
Yes. It's part of the reason, because they show up here and they show up in Marsh Cave. It's part of the reason why Marsh Cave in the vanilla NES game is considered Ambush Cave. Just because of how often you see fights with stun touch and other nasty effects just pop out of nowhere and kill you. Oh, this is a lovely fight here for experience.
Yeah, the Ogre Chiefs are pretty good. Unfortunately, they just have a little too much HP for player for the I'll just call it the Judgment Staff. The Judgment Staff to take care of them, so it ends up being faster to sort them out.
Nuke stick. I mean, that's what it is.
Boomstick?
It's a nuke stick.
Borrow the term from
Boomstick,
FF1.
there you go.
Not FF1. Zelda 1 Randomizer.
As well as Army of Darkness.
Okay, if you say so.
Oh, have you not seen that movie?
I have not.
Oh. Okay, so we're out of our first dive into Earth Cave, and yes, you are going to have to make 2 dives into this. That is vanilla, and honestly, one of the rudest parts of this game is forcing you to double dip that dungeon so early in the game.
Very much so, and especially because the game taunts you in that teleport is for sale in Belmont. You can't learn it without class change.
Yeah. There's actually a lot of places in-game that teleport would be super nice, but it's blocked to you without class change. Like in the NES game, no matter what, I'm assuming the PSP uses the same spell requirements for the slots pre and post class change.
Yeah, the spell permissions are the same.
Yeah.
So all these ogres, they're not so much helpful now. I'd actually rather not get encounters now.
Yeah.
Because we've got the eye coming up anyways, and my levels are fine till that point, so any encounter is just wasting my time.
Which the PSP version apparently loves to do.
It does. We are...
Wow.
Okay. We're a little off
I love the
pace.
name. The hyenas are now Hyena Dawn.
Sure, why not? I just realized I hadn't actually been splitting for a while, so I was a little off on my judgment of how far behind pace things were.
Oh, that's nice.
We're still behind pace.
Just saying, I don't think we're getting to Lich in the next, like, minute 10, but...
Alright, so here is this big stone dude, and... Have I mentioned that the encounter rate has been very unfriendly to us in this run?
Wow. You got that one hero run in Earth, and that was about it. Although, frankly, you got the hero run really when you wanted it most.
As far as threats, sure. It definitely paid off. And if we get some nicer encounter luck on the back end, that wouldn't be the worst either.
Help to bring it back up some, yeah.
Just because if we're avoiding stuff that's going to waste time, like, say, Chimera's casting Blaze, that's helpful.
So the Naked Stone Man, the Titan in the NES game, takes your ruby and eats it because they're delicious, and then as payment for that, he gets out of the way.
He does. And safety here because, again, ghasts.
This is another one of those instances where if you, like, had the floater here for progression early, you could actually, like, airship back behind the Titan and not even need the ruby, but obviously you're not going to get the airship until long after you've done this area, because so much of the game is gated by this one dungeon and having to complete everything. Can't get the canoe, can't get the floater, can't get any of that until you've actually defeated Lich, so it's one of those things where the game is just like, you see all these things you could do, but you're not going to actually be able to do it just yet.
Well, that was the storage, I'm thinking.
Mhm.
Right, so we get the rod to be able to advance in the Earth Cave now.
Here, take this staff. And now we have the Earth Rod. So you get to take this golf club from Sarda that he's not using anymore and go back into Earth Cave, and then go break stuff with it.
Yeah, you'd think if he wanted to help save the world, he would have been a little more accessible than this.
I know, right? No, you You must prove you're a hero to me first. Oh look, ogres.
Yeah, they're still decent experience, so if I'm going to have something waste my time, I'd rather it be those.
That's fair.
Preemptive from the death encounter, yay. Preemptives are a guaranteed runaway, by the way.
Yes.
If I don't get a preemptive, I'm not risking running from these ghouls. But if I get a preemptive, I'll take that quite happily.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's actually pretty consistent throughout the whole of the Final Fantasy series. If you ambush the enemies, whatever term they're using for it, preemptive in this game, it's a free run if you decide to take it, no matter what.
And it will happen before their turn. Let's see if I can just run from these ogres. I've gotten so many encounters. Okay, nope. But ice.
Oh, Red Mage.
Right at once. It wasn't going to cost me too much to try and get out of this, but the good news is these fights go quick.
Yeah, and they're not really doing anything to you.
Oh no, they definitely.
Whack away for one at a time.
And that's the strength of the Dragon Arm. That the absorb is that good that I just don't have to worry about these random encounters doing any damage unless they stun me.
Yeah.
And then the strength of those Thief armlets is that I'm getting all those lovely preemptives where I can just get out of the fight.
Like this right here. And so we're back in Earth Cave, once again. I was about to say, like, hey, don't forget to save outside the dungeon, but no, you're actually able to save inside the dungeon because the PSP is glorious.
Yes, and in fact, I'm not worried about the first two floors. The enemies that show up, anything except be annoying and poison me on occasion.
Mm-hmm.
Red Mage is best mage. I agree.
I'm with you on that. Like, anytime I play the NES game, I always make sure I have a Red Mage in my party.
You don't really give up a lot in the NES version, and
no.
In this version, you basically give up nothing. Oh, well, that's not true because spell stats. Actually, in this version, your spell damage goes up with your stats, so a well-equipped Black Mage will actually do much more damage with his spells than the Red Mage will.
They'll just unfortunately continue to be kind of squishy.
Pretty much.
Now, of course, with the glitch in the PSP version, apparently you can just slap a dragon armor on just about anyone, but it does. Their health is still going to be low, and a good spell from an enemy is still going to do a decent amount of damage to you, especially if it's non-elemental, which is something we'll probably have to touch upon later on in this run. The difference between elemental and non-elemental spells.
There'll be a little bit of that, but one of the great advantages of the Dragon Armor, though, is as we're approaching Lich, he is a mage who likes to fire off ice, too. So, thanks to the Dragon Armor, we're defended against that. But, boy, this encounter rate is really doing something to me today.
Absolute trash? Yeah, it's terrible. Marathon luck.
Pretty much.
But yeah, no, as we touched upon earlier, the Dragon Armor gives protection against fire, lightning, and ice. Is it like in the NES game? Does it have the amount of damage you take?
Well, it runs through a formula in this version, so spell damage is a little bit different. But yeah, it's around half, effectively.
Effectively? Yeah. That was effectively right, which is the best kind of right.
As opposed to correct, which would be technically.
I'll take whatever wins I can get. Hey, look! Regeneration! Oh, that was a strong hit.
Crits can happen, they'll bypass your defense, but...
Yep. And then you blast away for over 1,000 damage.
Yeah. So I'm going to use Judgment Staff on these to get rid of the regular ogres. And I'll just go ahead and use one more because... Oh, no, we're high enough level now, it is killing the chiefs.
Nice. That's good to see. That helps speed things up a bit.
I'm gonna go ahead and make this my 3rd floor save on the 2nd floor, just for
do your healing up and
sake,
going.
hopefully.
Nice. 23 already on your levels.
Yeah, that's actually higher than I'd like. That's just because I've taken so many encounters and I can't get away from them, so I have to kill them anyways. So, being too high a level right now is actually a bad sign in terms of time.
I remember playing the NES version as a kid, and I spent like weeks grinding in the early portion of the game, and I think I managed to achieve like level 16 before I went to Marsh Cave. And to see you be level 23 less than an hour in the game actually sickens me a little.
Well, you weren't doing it with one character.
Well, there is that, but still. You scared everyone in chat with that 8 HP against those giants. Not giants, the ogres. Yeah.
That's not the one that scares me. Seeing the death group scares me at 75 HP.
Mm-hmm. Thankfully, you got good toner on this group.
Yes, for anyone who may just be joining us, this is the PSP version of Final Fantasy I. I lovingly call it the most broken version.
It absolutely is.
Of course, I also stand by the most broken part of it is the save anywhere.
And that's just a vanilla thing. That's not even a glitch.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, I understand why they put it in. They wanted this to be a pick-up-and-play game if you were traveling and you had to, like, put it to sleep for a little while or something. So the long dungeons of the game needed to be, like, given something where you can just save anywhere. But instead of just adding in some save points in the dungeons, like, or in, like, later Final Fantasies, they just decided the best thing to do was just give you a save anywhere, and that is really broken. So, as you just saw on screen, Triton grabbed that golf club from Sarda and then whacked the heck out of that slab, and the slab is gone and you can go further down. That's why we had to go do that whole double dip fetch quest.
Now we just gotta get through floor 4, which is floor 3's little brother. And I didn't get an encounter! That's insane!
This is an amazing hero run here. That almost makes up for all the terrible encounter luck you've had before.
It's not a good trade, but it is a trade. So those are the 2 floors that in particular can get you in trouble. The encounters are a lot nicer on this floor. There's no ghasts. The mummies can still put you to sleep, but that's pretty low risk as well.
Is sleep... I was going to ask earlier, is sleep fixed in this version, or does it still wear off after only a single round?
It's not guaranteed, but when there's only one application of it coming, it's just a lot lower risk.
Okay. Question from Zanzabaz. Again, I'm terrible with names. I'm sorry if I butchered that, which I'm sure I did. Where can someone get access to Final Fantasy or any of the old versions to play on PC? I do believe that like the PSP port or a version of it has been ported out to Steam, so Steam will provide a legal version for you to be able to play this way while we see Blizzara get cast. That's the Ice 2 you were talking about.
Yep.
And 2 hits and Lich is just whacked away. Other versions of it, I mean, there's the classic versions you pick up on the various consoles, but I think the Steam port's the one you're going to have to do if you want to be legal about it, which, of course, is what we encourage. So with that, you charge up your yellow crystal, and one of 4 crystals is now activated, and you have just saved the Earth Elemental from the evils of Lich.
And we see the Earth Gift Shrine is going to be opened up now. These are little unskippable cutscenes after each of the bosses. That's actually going to be our bonus dungeon incentive that was met. I was going to do that going into Ordeals, but I think if we haven't made up time, I'm going to put that after in case they want to give me the hook.
Okay.
But we'll see how we do, because we're about 6 minutes off, and I built a solid estimate into this run, because this is versus my PB, not versus estimate.
Yeah. So are we just doing the Earth Deep Shrine or whatever it's called.
Yeah, there's actually 4 bosses in there, but we're only going to be killing 1. It's just a chance to show off the shrine and get really, really hype bonus music.
Which is pretty cool. I mean, I have seen some of the bonus dungeons before, but you don't get to see them very often on the any percent run. So it's pretty cool to actually come through and see one of these on a marathon run.
So we're so high level now, and we've got the agility, we should be able to run away from riffraff encounters. So of course I didn't. I'll try one. No, if he's gonna crit for 15, I'm gonna kill him, just so bad RNG doesn't kill us.
No, that's agreed.
So obviously I'm trying not to heal too often, just because extra menuing.
Yeah.
Alright, so we have 2 things to take care of in town. One is a run requirement, the other is an incentive requirement. So that's an improved healing spell.
So, and we do need to go talk to our friend here, who is named Jim in this version.
He's actually named in the NES version, but I'm going by the NES version names because it's more fun.
Fair enough. The Dawn of Souls version from the GBA had him as Watts for some reason.
We didn't get Big Eyes in the early game, which is almost surprising the way RNG has treated me, but they also have the ability to stun, so I don't miss not seeing them.
Yeah. It's a really creepy looking sprite of them, too. Ew.
I didn't hear you react to the fact that Melmond is actually worse in this version, by the way.
It didn't seem all that gross to me. I'm just used to the sketchy looking Melmond in general.
Fair enough. Question in chat, is this FF1? This is Final Fantasy 1 for the PSP.
An improved version of the Dawn of Souls version from the Game Boy Advance with one particular game-breaking glitch included. Oh, there's that gaze you were talking about.
We're so high level now we ought to resist it.
Yeah. Even though that seems to be the only thing the Big Eye wants to do at this point.
They'll do one of 3 things, and so that's like a 2 in 3 chance because they don't divide it evenly.
Okay, so once we get through this, we are going to be heading on over to Crescent Lake, so named because the lake around it looks like a crescent moon. And then we have yet another friendo that we need to go talk to while we're there.
Which is very handy because we have to go that direction anyways.
Mm-hmm. Gonna go see the old men doing yoga in the park.
Sadly, not quite as confused as the randomizer NES version does.
So this is an encounter, though, that we can live without seeing the Sayhags, because they're just not worth anything to us at this point.
I promise you I could live without a single random encounter at this point. There's none of them that I'm happy to see, and that's going to basically be true-ish the rest of the run. Actually knowing that I'm going to take the encounters, I planned that out. So if I knew I could not take an overworld encounter, I'd go to level 40 on the eye and then cut out all the overworld encounters. It'd be faster.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm going to get them, so I go to only a lower level with the eye and plan on getting the rest of that experience along the way.
I feel so bad for the trolls. They just have such a massive migraine, they're clutching at their heads, and then you just go whack away at them. It feels so bad.
They started it. So any percent run, they would actually do an equipment glitch there and upgrade to black garbs, but it's so little time I'm not going to bother. There's Lucan, he's our friend.
What does the black garb have over the dragon mail that you're currently wearing?
Or agility. No, that would be over the thief's gauntlets. The thief armlets.
Okay.
Okay. The dragon I would keep.
Perfect. So we talk to the dude in blue who gives you your story bit, that is Lucan, and then we talk to the dude who has the canoe, who's not the guy in blue, so he's just some random old man hanging out there. And now we have more access to the overworld because we can now canoe around the places. And the first thing you're going to do, despite what they say, you're supposed to go over to the volcano. Instead, you're just going to, wander off in the other direction, be like, deuces, guys, I got other things to do. And I assume you're heading over to Ice Cave now.
We are. We're going to get the floater and, let it all burn. Who cares about the volcano?
It's actually interesting. The first half of the game, up through Earth Cave, is very linear in the vanilla version of the story. You have to go, you have to get to Marsh Cave, get the items so you can get out of the Circle Sea, then you have to go deal with Earth Cave, because until you do Earth Cave, you don't get any of the progression you need to go any further in the game. But at a certain point, once you have that canoe, the entire world opens up to you, and while there's certainly some linear parts to it, like the fact that, to open up the Sky Palace, you have to go get a key item out of the Water Palace. The one part that isn't linear is Volcano can kind of be dropped in whenever you want, and is really optional as to where you have to put it in the game, because it doesn't have a key item at all.
It does not, and it doesn't have any kind of story trigger that it blocks. Actually, as a kid, I loved playing Final Fantasy 1 so much that I kept figuring out different ways to break the order, and ended up... I wanted to see if I could beat all of the fiends in reverse order. Unfortunately, if you don't beat Lich, you will not get the canoe.
Yeah. Lich you have to fight. The reverse boss order is impossible to do in this game, just because of the fact that Lich is a story trigger that blocks the back half of the game.
So question in chat wants to know how I'm doing so much damage, and the answer is twofold. For melee damage, the Red Mage is actually a really high level for this stage of the game, like double what he should be. So there's that aspect. He also has equipped the best or second best sword in the game.
Which you shouldn't have access to until you've actually played through one of the bonus dungeons, but due to the game-breaking glitch of this game, just kind of casually equipped like it was nothing.
Then the other part
Same with that.
is the magic damage, which is coming from the Judgment Staff. These Piscademons, by the way, unrunnable, but the good news with that is they'll never ambush me. The Judgment Staff we picked up from the first treasure chest in the first dungeon of the game, and that is casting Flare, which is a level 8 black magic spell. Bad turn order, that's not nice to see. No gas in this fight, though.
Yeah, that nuke stick clears up a lot of these nice popcorn packs, as we like to call them in the randomizer community.
Yeah, so some of these can do dark, that's not scary. Some of them can do stun touch, that's a little bit scary. It's not nearly as bad when there's only one of them, one hit from them.
Yeah.
So if you've got 5 of them trying to stun touch you versus 4 ghasts that are doing 3 hits, what's 12 versus 5? So it's a significantly less scary encounter.
Absolutely. So does Dark actually work properly in this version of the game, or is it as useless as it was in the NES version?
It probably works, but it's not noticeable, and nothing that matters does it to you.
There you go. Yeah, well, I mean, it works technically in the NES version. It's just such a pathetic amount of, like causing you to not get as many hits. Like, it's a slight percentage on that it doesn't really, not getting rid of Dark doesn't even matter in the NES game.
Yeah, it's basically the same. If Kraken lands ink on me, I don't care.
Yeah, in fact, you don't mind him casting ink at you because it doesn't matter.
Actually, it wastes more time than if he tried to attack.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you gotta sit through the whole animation thing, versus if he tries to attack, it's not gonna do any damage anyways.
I mean, I'm not as familiar with the PSP version as the NES version, but I just assumed that him attacking was much scarier, because Kraken attacking is usually scary.
Not by the time I get to him, and that'll become a bit more clear in about 20 minutes.
So there was something that you, if you're not familiar with the NES game, you might not have expected. There are holes in here. On the NES version of the game, you can see the holes that drop you down, but here they kind of just happen to appear when you drop down onto the particular tile there, and suddenly you fall to the bottom floor.
There's little cracks in the ice to indicate them. It just goes by quick. If you don't know they're there and you're not looking for them, you won't see them.
Exactly. And yes, this does have some damage tiles. Traditionally, you would have already played through the volcano, so you'd already be used to the damage tiles here, but there are spiky ice tiles here that will do some damage to you. Something to be wary of if you come in here with low health. Triton did not come here with low health. Yeah, see, there you can see the cracks now.
Okay, so that's got me at 28, and I want to hit 33. It'll take 2 to 3 eyes per level. But we want to get to 33. So, if we have a host from SG who wants to do any donations, now's a great time. Or just promote the stuff. Of course, you can do the !NKH command in chat to see links to the donation page, which has all sorts of prizes available. And there's plenty of other runs out there that need their incentives met, so unlock all sorts of fun stuff.
It does look as though I have been given the ability to read some of the donations at this point. Hopefully I'm actually able to see them in the order that they, came in properly. But we do have a $20 donation from Anonymous, thank you. A $25 donation from Sweet Beeps with no comment. Sweet Beeps, I'm sorry. And a $500 donation from Joshua Akant, saying the kids need to eat. So thank you for those. We really do appreciate them.
Chat, let's get some applause or cheer emotes as your heart desires for all the wonderful people that have donated.
Absolutely. That was a huge amount of donations right there, and we appreciate all the support for this worthy cause.
And of course, remember that there is a lot of marathon ahead. This is a very fun roster of games. I've enjoyed it considerably. Of course, Spike Vegeta was doing Kingdom Hearts last night. That went pretty late, but we had Mario 3 crowd control. That's on the VODs. You can go back and look for. Do a little safety heal up here.
Yeah, that Thundara was just a little bit of damage right there. I think you probably could have survived a couple of them, but just in case. Don't want to take a step, get a nasty encounter, and then get blasted down by it.
So that's 31. We want to do 2 more levels real quick. That won't be more than 6 of these. Probably 4 or 5. And of course, if this isn't enough Final Fantasy for you, there is a completely different look in the Final Fantasy 1 randomizer coming up tomorrow. Hey, Darkmoon, did you know about that, Ron?
Well, I do now, even though I should have known it earlier, because I'm actually, one of the commentators on it. Make sure to rub that in as often as you can, because that was dumb on my part. But yes, we do have a Final Fantasy randomizer run, the NES version of the game, that we'll be doing tomorrow around noonish, with give or take a little based on where the marathon is at that point. It's going to be Burt Reynolds versus Groggy Dog, taking on a very fun flag set here for the Final Fantasy randomizer. Make sure to tune in for that, along with everything else going on over this weekend for the No Kid Hungry Marathon. Such a worthy cause.
Alright, that's my level, and I do one more eye just for good measure.
Mm-hmm.
It's such a good experience. It's doing 3,000 each, and I mean,
yeah.
Talking about most of the encounters I was getting till now, doing between 200 if it was on the really low end, and upwards of 800 if it was a really good one.
And I note that in this version, it's not a treasure chest. You actually have a special item here instead on the overworld that you can see, the Levistone there, or the dungeon world right there. So you can actually tell that there's a difference between the treasures and that particular key item right there. That Levistone, of course, being the thing that allows us to raise the airship and start flying around the world, and as long as they didn't make any changes in the PSP version, not get any encounters, which at this point you really want.
Oh yes, that part is so nice. Unfortunately, there's still some forced walking because they weren't too nice to you in that, but...
Yeah.
Generally
No.
speaking, our movement gets considerably better with that airship.
Mm-hmm.
And part of the reason you go ahead and do the ice cave as soon as you can, so that you have that freedom of movement.
Yeah, I mean, even when I was playing this in the NES version of the game back as a kid, I would just be like, okay, I'm going to go over this way and just go do the floater and try and get my class change early and everything else, because, like, it was just more worth it to me to be able to go into Volcano with a much better set of characters and equipment and everything else than trying to do it, like, the vanilla way the game intends you to do.
So we've gained more than 10 levels in this ice cave. That changes the dynamic of these fights considerably. Our stats are so much better. The Judgment Staff damage output has basically doubled since we started the game. We also have much better agility, magic defense, so a lot of things have gotten much better after that level grind. Also, we're joined in chat by the infectious one himself, my friend Will Cleosis. Hello, Will. And thank you everybody who's chilling with us this morning, enjoying some Final Fantasy.
We do still have a number of errands that we're going to be doing here. We're not just heading off towards another big dungeon just yet. There are other things that we need to do before we even start diving more dungeons. And the dungeon that we're going to be going to eventually isn't one of the ones that you would initially do early on. So this is going to be a very different run from this point forward than you might expect from vanilla NES game.
Yeah, I mean, I could see some people doing things in, generally speaking, the same order. But in particular, the reason that we're going to do it this way is on the premise of saving 5 to 10 minutes over the course of the run by being able to get one thing. But first, Yukon Desert.
Nice thing about the canoe is that it allows you to park your ship at any river system you so choose, as we saw earlier. And we're doing it here instead of just docking at Crescent Lake and doing a long walk. Of course, didn't stop you from still getting the bull and scorpion encounter here on the overworld. Just one more quick encounter just to make you realize, oh right, encounters are a thing.
Yeah, that's pretty much the story of this run. But we're here to the Ryukon Desert, and we are able to finally get the airship.
Really? An interesting thing about this version is the fact that you don't have to go into your inventory and, pull out the key items you're going to need to use when you use them. It just kind of does it for you.
Yeah, but I'd rather menu than have the cutscene.
No, I don't.
Alright, so of course we fly south to go north.
Of course. Well, that's because the overworld on Final Fantasy games isn't realistic. And the world loops in all directions, weirdly.
That is realistic.
No, but you go...
The world is round.
Yes, but if you go south, you don't end up at the north, you end up in a different portion of south.
If you keep going south, you eventually are at the North Pole.
Yeah, but that requires you to go all the way around the entire world, not
Yes, it's just a smaller world. But the shape of it is realistic.
It is not realistic. You are not on a cylinder in both directions.
Chad, I'm not sure Darkmoon knows the world is round.
I do know the world is round. You go north all the way on a globe. You start coming back down from north towards south. You don't magically appear at south and continue going north.
It's not magical. I have to go far enough.
I think you're just being ornery now.
No, that's an unrack. There's nobody here.
So you went to the Oasis and you got the bottle, and you came here to Gaia and released the bottle, so you can go talk to the fairy that was trapped in that bottle and get another key item. Because again, as we established earlier, Final Fantasy games love fetch quests.
Yep, and also technically the caravan owner had a name, which is Underhill.
There you go. Another friend we made along the way.
Although he was en route, we were going to talk to him anyways. enemies, but we've got 2 more of them coming up here in Onrak.
Does the fairy have a name in any of them, or is it just the fairy?
I believe it's just always the fairy.
She gives us the Oxyale, which isn't one of the items that has changed its name. Like some of the items have changed their name a little between the NES version and this later version, but the Oxyale remains just the Oxyale.
I messed up. I started going the wrong way.
No, it's perfect.
I was going to do a whole different dungeon, and that could have been problematic, so...
Headed off towards Waterfall instead of going towards Ordeals?
Yep. Because I was looking ahead at the friends that are coming up. I'm scrolled down too far on my notes to remind me not to do stupid things.
I am noticing that the game has some spots where you can land a little closer to areas than you would be able to in the vanilla game.
They tinkered with that map quite a bit.
Mm-hmm.
In dungeons, it's actually quite annoying because it's zoomed in, and it's harder to see the dungeons.
That's true.
Fortunately, those Sphinx survived the Judgment Staff. That's rude. Well, you know, I always say, don't do math while live on Twitch. It'll always betray you. This chat is having some fun with math. Chat can do math. That's different.
I do wonder if 2 judgment casts is faster or slower than just swinging your sword 4 times.
If it's 2 enemies, I absolutely swing the sword. If it's more than that, I haven't really timed it out to the frame to work that out yet. But probably for 3 it would be faster.
And certainly for 4 then.
It's... Well, I mean, for 3 it might be faster to do sword.
Oh, okay.
It's also going to in part vary on what they actually do. As in, do I need to kill them all at once because they're going to waste that much time? Or do I need to kill them... Can I let them take their turn, whatever they're doing?
Yeah, if they're just melee hitting you, then it's faster than if they decide to use their own skills and spells as well.
There's also the non-zero factor of menuing time.
Uh-huh.
So do I want to have to menu twice to be able to swing the sword versus sticking with the Judgment Staff?
Chat asking what version of the game we are playing. We are playing the PSP version of it. An improved version of an improved version of an improved version that happens to have a pretty large equipment glitch built into it.
Nothing like that. I like to say that the PS1 version was just a fresh coat of paint put on the original version. This one, they sort of reimagined it.
Yeah. Well, the PS1 version, they had a number of fixes they put in that were supposed to make like some of the spells and so forth work in that version of the game that didn't work in the original, but they didn't rebalance it otherwise, so it's a very odd game in some respects. But the Game Boy version, the Game Boy Advance version, okay, we're getting a little ahead of ourselves. The Wonder Swan version, I believe, was based on the PSX version. The Game Boy version was enhanced version, and then they did even more reimagining here for the PSP version. Like, I know you're playing this in part because of the equipment glitch. Do you have a preference between the GBA or the PSP versions?
I haven't actually done the GBA version.
Okay. Well, there you go then.
But the graphics are very nice on this version, so even if you wanted to play it glitchless, it's a very visually appealing version of the game.
That just so happens in this particular run to have a really high encounter rate.
Why did I even grab that? What was I doing?
You're playing the randomizer. I wonder what item I'm gonna get here.
Actually, I think the 80% run does pick that up because it glitches into something valuable, like worldly robes or something like that for your mages. But all I did was give myself an extra encounter. This one. In the nightmares, I don't try running away from, even though they're low level, because they're a very high agility enemy, so they're actually extremely difficult to run away from. So it's just
one nightmare is easy to kill with the sword.
Yeah, Mind Flayers may be bringing back haunting memories of your childhood if you played this game, because of course they have Death Touch.
A huge concern for you at this point? Is that likely to happen with the high level of red mages you have?
Now, the magic defense is so good, I've never actually seen it work on me. It's also fixed. It was extremely broken in the NES version against you.
Well, that was in part because the touch effects in the game would work even if the enemy missed. So they could, like, swing at you for 8 times, miss all 8 times, and then still get 8 chances to death touch you, which was just incredibly rude.
Yeah, so without it being that broken strong, it's not nearly as much a threat, and then my magic defense is just so much higher, because again, I'm at least double level from what you would be coming here.
Mm-hmm.
Like, even in a casual run, you're not going to be level 17, 18.
Yeah, I think when I first got here, the first time I played it, I was around level 17 or 18.
Question in chat, does the randomizer work on this version? The primary known randomizer is the NES version only. However, there is a randomizer for this version.
Yeah, it's primarily just a item randomizer, isn't it?
I haven't had a chance to try it yet, but I believe that's correct.
And I know that there was at one point... Oh, you got 2 of them this time, that's nice. I know at one point there was work on a GBA randomizer for Final Fantasy 1 called the HMS Jane. I don't know where the progress is on that one, though. I haven't heard about it in a little while.
That's not one I'm up on.
Yeah.
By the way, there's a little bit of risk in this overworld, which is why I was doing the safety saves. This would be the enemy. Sandworms have the ability to cast Earthquake, and my only defense against that is my magic defense. So I don't have any special resistance to it right now, and it can insta-kill me.
Yeah, it's a... Is it crack in the vanilla game?
Yes.
Yeah, so that's an instant kill Earth-based spell, and the trouble is the fact that in Final Fantasy, the first game, there just isn't a lot of items that provide Earth protection. Ribbon is one of the ones, I think, and Ribbon might be it.
Yep, and the good news is we don't have long to wait until getting a Ribbon.
And you only need the one, because you only need one.
This is true. Actually, you only need one in the 80% run as well, because you glitch it into multiple.
Oh, the PS.
Alright, so...
You're not wrong when you say this is the most broken version.
To be able to beat the final boss, I have to pick up a couple of items. That's one of them. Fortunately, there's 2 of them that are really easy to grab right here. And the importance to me is that they are complete HP heals.
Yeah. The elixir in most Square games is a full heal, which is lovely. Full heal, and I think magic point heal as well. They're super OP. And of course, it doesn't matter to you whether you get elixirs or mega elixirs, because they're going to be the exact same item as far as your one red mage is concerned.
Yeah, so I end up getting a couple. There's 4 of them that are available if you don't do any of the bonus dungeons. I actually only need 3. And it doesn't work out for marathon safety to be worth it to pick up the 4th.
Fair enough.
It's like, if your luck's that bad against the final boss, you're losing anyways. Alright, but we have picked up our treasures that we needed. If you really know your NES map of this area, you may have noticed that there's an extra hole in the ground there. That's actually one of the bonus dungeons.
You got time for a quick donation?
Go for it!
We got $50 coming in from T. Bounder Dog saying, hoping no child goes hungry. Thank you, T. Bounder Dog. Really appreciate that.
Thank you, and of course if you look at the donation page, you can see all sorts of fantastic prizes available. I believe it's just a $5 minimum to be able to qualify for any of the open prizes right now. With that, we're going to talk to the Dragon King Bahamut, and he is going to reward us for getting the tail by giving us class change. Chat mentioned there was also the A-Rub spell to prevent against death, but, you know, you can't really waste a turn there, so it's not that valuable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's the one nice thing about the ribbon is that it's instantly on, you don't have to worry about it. Any of the other spells, the A spells or wall or any of those, they're great to have if you can't get enough ribbons to protect everyone, which in this version of the game doesn't matter. But you do run the issue of the fact that you have to be able to have a chance to cast it first. And if something instant death to you immediately, well, that's wiped away.
Alright, let's see how accurately I got this without a good visual marker.
Triton, Piercing Mountain in chat asked that you said that the Barbarian Sword was the second best sword of the game. What is the best sword?
I don't remember the name of it because you don't get it.
Fair enough. But there is something that's a little stronger?
Yeah, but it's based on stats. It's like based on your max HP, so if you had a knight using it, it would be extremely strong. But the red mage wouldn't have enough HP that they'd be better off with the barbarian.
So the spell we buy here is teleport. Do we still need to talk to someone in town? Did you talk to the...
We talked to Jim.
The dwarf already?
We talked to Jim when we went back for... Yep, people paid for the incentive. We gotta meet it.
We've done a lot since then. Did you talk to... Oh, we haven't gone to Onrak yet, which is your next one to deal with. Looks like we might be headed towards that region, though.
We're gonna do Waterfall first.
Well, we're in the region, at least.
We are in the region.
Yes.
Forsyth, who knows more than me, says Barbarian Sword is the strongest. I'm not one to argue with him. He knows the game better than I do. But, let me qualify it. It's on base stats, it's better. On potential damage, you can actually outdo it.
Someone's mentioning that Lightbringer might be better for the Red Mage.
No, that's just saying as far as Red Mage equipment. They're just looking at base Red Mage equipment there.
There we go.
Trust me, as far as any other sword goes, there's no contest. The Barbarian Sword. The Barbarian Sword is better than Masamune. I'll throw down a safety save here just because there's a little risk in here, but not too much.
Are we worried about the sleep touch mummies again?
Yeah, pretty much. There's also Jerkbirds.
Jerkbird. I was going to mention them. Yeah.
But this is an RPG, and birds are jerks.
I don't even think you have to qualify that's an RPG. I think it's just every game, birds and jerks. Ninja Gaiden, for example.
Yeah, I suppose in platformers, birds are probably pretty big jerks, too.
Castlevania's another one. Yes. Oh no, he snorted at you. Whatever will you do?
Kill it and move on.
Snorting, of course, also causes the dark status effect, which, as we established earlier, doesn't really do much in this game. Any version of it.
Question in chat, did PS1 Remake fix all the bugs in the original releases? Well, this is PSP version, so I think that's what you were actually meaning to ask about, and yeah, it would fix most of them.
The PS1 version actually fixed a fair number of them, and from what I remember of playing through it, it did nerf just how bad the experience grind was in the game. It did fix everything, and there were a number of other issues they kind of left lingering, which makes the PSX version, along with the fact that it has disk load times, still not the ideal version of it. It's just the fact that once you get into the Game Boy version, they start really mucking around with it, adding in like MP systems and all that, that you start veering away a fair bit from the vanilla experience too much.
Chat asks if it's better than Vorpal. Well, in terms of stats, of course it's better than Vorpal. But now, if you believe in the mystic powers of the Vorpal, then there's no competition to that.
Does it have a... I guess the question that would be then is if the Barbarian Sword has a really strong crit rate or not.
Yeah, it's great on all of its stats. It's an upgrade. It's a clear across-the-board upgrade to the Masamune.
There you go. Because the Vorpal has a crazy crit rate if it's fixed in the NES version, which is something that you learn about when you play the randomizer weapon fixes on.
It's actually, it's doubled the randomizer, so it's not fixed, it's over-fixed, and it's not
That's
accurate
it.
to what even was intended. Now, it's not just that weapon. I think they doubled the intended crit rates on all of the weapons when you do weapons fixes, but it's higher than what when the chart that came with the game,
That makes sense.
it's higher than that value.
That makes sense. Well, they may have been basing it on some of the later games too, and trying to equalize out. There's a number of those kinds of fixes, quote unquote, in the randomizer about making the play experience more tolerable in general.
Yeah, and part of it is it's just
you're
trying to play the game quickly. Yeah, so this was all Jerkbirds. The good news is Jerkbirds are pretty weak, but this was an encounter I definitely wanted to save for.
Yeah. So long as you don't get actually touch affected by these, it's not so terrible. And then you don't have to face it again afterwards, because you're going to be bailing out via that spell you bought in Elder.
Yeah, when you see the encounter rate I went through in this very short dungeon.
Yeah.
Very short waterfall dungeon, and I got that many encounters. That was not the treasure chest I wanted. This one, and I want this.
But it is the benefit of the fact that you can get teleport, because you can, just warp your way back out of dungeons and avoid a lot of those nasty encounter rates that you were getting early on. Teleport saves a lot of time. Teleport being warp in the NES game. So we're equipping the ribbon now.
But we're doing it funny.
Okay.
Put it in the shield slot.
It actually has...
Let me get out of here first, and then I'll explain it. We took the ribbon, and we glitched it into a Giganta-Axe for the fighter. Then, we took the Giganta-Axe, and we glitched it back into a ribbon, but we put that onto the shield slot of the Red Wizard.
Now, this is something that's actually worth pointing out, I believe, and hopefully you knowing this game a little better than I do can talk on it. It's the fact that not all of the defensive gear has a shield animation associated with it. The ribbon, for some reason, is one of the ones that can. But if your character doesn't have a shield animation with a piece of gear it has equipped in the shield slot, it can, I believe, hard lock the game.
Yep, that's a perfect explanation.
Thank you.
So, ribbon is safe to put in the shield slot, and it opens up the armor slot for something that's stronger defense, which will be coming. So, do that first, then explain that was one of our friends, and our other friend here is Kobe. Hey, Kobe. Alright, so one of the mermaids is referenced from the other mermaids in the Sea Shrine as she left, and they theorize she grew legs and walked away. So it's implied that the one who we just talked to that mentions her legs was Daryl. And then Kobe was the male we talked to there and has a name. So he's one of our friends that we made along the way.
Daryl, of course, being a reference to the movie Splash.
Yeah, one of those classic 80 movies that if I start rattling off others as I was thinking about it, that's like, oh, you start to feel old when you think about how long ago Not Quite Human was. Or Short Circuit.
Oh, Short Circuit. I loved that movie when I was a kid. I haven't watched it in forever, though. Okay, so we're in here in the Waterfall Shrine, and, I mean, if you're used to the randomizer version, you don't often have to go over to... Not Waterfall Shrine, Sea Shrine. If you're used to the randomizer version, you don't often have to go over to this side of the dungeon, because, it's a long walk, and while there's a lot of treasures over here, usually you try and come in here when you're mostly done with this area and don't have to go digging for treasure chests. However, the vanilla game does have a key item on this side that you will need. The slab... Is it still called the slab, or is it's Rosetta Stone?
Rosetta Stone.
Yeah. And you need that to be able to learn the language of the Bluefinish people so you can go talk to them and finish out the game. This area is required in this game.
Absolutely. So this is the floor where the mermaids all reside. This was originally their place till Kraken moved in, like the freeloader he is. He didn't even pay rent.
And he knows it's looking a little gnarly around here. He has not been fixing this place up since he took over. They're gonna have to call in a general contractor after you're done here. Yeah.
Alright, so this is
So
the
I'm assuming-
second time I'm going to use teleport, which is after picking up the Rosetta Stone, and then it puts me in line perfectly to come over and grab the last random treasure chest I need.
Nice. Now, are we actually going to be fighting Kraken while we're here?
We absolutely are.
Nice.
We are well prepared to handle him. By the way, against these waters, which are an unrunnable encounter, that shield, that sword that popped up, animation, that when I didn't take any damage, that was actually the ribbon blocking the attack.
Mm-hmm. Exactly what we were talking about earlier. It is nice that the ribbon actually has a shield animation on it, so it doesn't cause your game to crash.
Alright, well, that dragon armor served us well for a long time, but now it's time for the survival vests to take over.
Okay, so Survival Vest is something not in the NES game. What does it do?
It does better stats all the way across the board, so it's better absorb, it's better agility, and better stamina.
Nice. So that's a huge upgrade there.
It is, and our equipment is now done for the game.
Does it have any well, I guess it doesn't matter if it has any elemental protection or not, because you have a ribbon.
Yeah, funny how that worked out, isn't it?
Exactly! The ribbon, in case you aren't familiar with the vanilla game, the ribbon has complete elemental protection for all elements. There's still the chance of taking damage, there's still a chance of things... is there a crit rate in this game that can cause some spells to still get through, or is the ribbon, like, full protection in this version?
I haven't seen the code itself broken down to tell me that.
Uh-huh.
Observation seems to be that there is no crit on that.
Nice.
Because you would see it more often. So if it's there, it's even lower than 3 and 256.
Yeah, because the 3 and 256 is the NES version of it, where any spell could crit through your defense no matter what. So you that fire, that ice, that lightning you're getting from the dragon, you still have that along with poison and earth and death elementals as well. Time 2. The ribbon provides all of that. It'll tamp down the damage based on the formula we were talking about before, meaning that you're going to take less damage from all of those spells, and for all of the instant deaths, at this point, as far as we know, you are completely protected. So, hooray! As the dwarf would say.
If he wasn't nerfed in this version, say lolly ho, but yes.
No. Headcanon, he always says hooray, can't prove otherwise.
Chat asked if I just equipped 3 vests, and yes, I did. And thank you so much, because that warms my heart that I did it fast enough for somebody to not be sure that's what I did.
Yeah, Angry Cat was asking that, and yeah, that is part of the PSP equipment glitch that we've been discussing throughout this run. The PSP, as Trinity explained earlier, the weapon and armors each have their value, quote-unquote, on a table. And if you do the swap back and forth between characters just right in their equipment menus, you can equip things onto other slots and swap weapons for armor and back, and get all kinds of gear you're not supposed to have just because of the way the tables are set up, which is why we have a nuke stick that we've been carrying since the early part of the game. Why he swapped a ribbon onto a shield slot, why he now has 3 survival vests. This game is, and why you have a barbarian sword. The game is incredibly broken. It's delightful.
So, right now, as far as story progression goes, we've beaten one of the fiends. We beat the Earth Fiend, and restored the Earth Crystal. We are about to see our second fiend, who is actually the intended third one.
Yes, intended, but as we established before, EXP Pinata Pack.
I'm not going to turn my nose at this. Stuff is very good experience at this point, and the levels just keep piling up. And the experience in these 2 final Fiend dungeons, it's just so good that it puts me on level at the end of the game. Plus, I was high to begin with because we so many encounters. Like, this
So
sea shrine has been pretty normal encounter.
What is your intended end goal level?
I just try to be 50 for the final boss.
Nice. Okay.
That's not even going to be close to an issue at this point.
So while you're taking this encounter, I want to mention that Piercing Mountain donated $25, saying good luck and hopefully the donation goal can be met. Thank you, Piercing Mountain.
A question in chat: the equipment works on the regular PS version. This is the regular PS version, PSP version.
Yeah, it is.
This is not randomizer. We talk about randomizer just because it's fun, and we've got 2 hours to talk about stuff. So,
and it helps to provide a point of reference, since the randomizer has done a lot of various things and pointing out how the code of the initial game worked. So I saw you casted haste there. First off, I didn't see you pick it up, but haste is a great spell. That would be fast in the original version of the game. The thing about it is if you're used to playing later versions of the game where there's an ATB bar, fast or haste or whatever you want to call it would make the ATB bar move quicker. In this version of the game, though, because there are no ATB bars in the first three games of the series on the NES, it works differently. Instead of speeding up how quickly you get your turns, because everything is one turn for each foe and you, it instead just gives you more hits that you're able to do with your weapon.
it's very good for that. I picked it up after getting the Mystic Key, or when I went to get the Mystic Key and I was in Elfland area. I stopped in town to do it then.
Nice.
So there's a lot of this. I try and minimize number of trips to places. The only exception is Melman, because if I don't go get teleport then, it's really not worth it. And this game actually has a ship slide mini puzzle game where you've got 15 numbers and you have to get them 1 to 15. If you did that, you could get an item called the emergency exit, and that would be the most significant route change that you could do, because if I had 1 or 2 of those, I wouldn't actually go get teleport. So I would skip Castle Ordeals, I would skip class change.
Wow, really?
Yeah, the trouble is you can't control getting it. It's RNG.
I guess if you were like trying to grind out like a true world record on this, which there probably isn't for like a true one for this. This is just kind of a percent that you invented yourself, isn't it?
Yeah, I could count this as an any percent run, and it'd be,
okay.
You know, it would be right around 32 minutes off world record.
Okay.
So it seems almost silly to put it on that leaderboard.
Yeah, right.
Now, if there were people competing, I would submit it as a second leaderboard, but right now I'm doing this.
Yeah. But I mean, if you were trying to really grind out stuff, you'd get to the point where you can get those exit items and try for it that way. But that would be a hellish run, wouldn't it? Just like get up to this point, try it a couple times, fail, reset, do it again. Ugh.
Well, it's the ship, so you just have to get to Provoca.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah. But then you also have to not have atrocious RNG for the rest of the run.
Which this run proves is not always the case. Yeah, I'm sorry. I was reading donations while you were, or reading up on donations while you were talking about that, so I missed where that exit item came from.
Yeah, that's the ship minigame, and just... This is one where I've played with where I position it in the routing, but considering I was over in Melmond and I just have to fly west to get to the volcano, this seems like the easiest time to do it.
Easy enough. So, the volcano tiles. In the NES version of the game, you don't get any encounters on these damage tiles. I'm assuming that's the same case here in the PSP version?
That is absolutely correct, which makes this the shortest dungeon in the game.
Especially when you can go mode it. And I'm assuming there's no gear here that you're worried about at this point.
Correct. It's actually... Okay, this would be remarkable RNG when I say this, but it's possible to go through here without getting an encounter.
Yeah. Still, you got a nice run for those first 4 floors.
It's a lot of lava.
Helps out quite a bit. After the atrocious RNG you had earlier, this feels so sweet. And then, we get 2 encounters here. A lava worm! That would be the gray worm in the traditional game.
Yes. Not really worth anything, but it's just as easy to whack it with one sword.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna heal just to make sure we have enough HP for this, but, no safety saves here. No respecting carry. So, remember, we were supposed to beat carry... Jeez. About 30 minutes ago was the intended game time.
Yeah.
We're supposed to actually fight carry. I had to scroll up on my splits to figure out when that was.
We're only 15 minutes off of your PB pace. How much cushion did you build into this run for the marathon?
So we've got a 215 estimate, and 202 is my PB. So I was figuring at a 205 for slightly bad RNG, and then gave myself a 10-minute overrun.
We are hopefully not going to go too much over that. I'm hoping we can do the bonus dungeon, but I do know that we were already a half an hour behind here for the main marathon. So we'll see what Feasel and the crew tell us once we're done with the main game.
It's actually supposed to be... Yeah, that part just didn't work right. I had bid with the incentive that there was going to be more time added to the estimate, but I'm not going to hold up the whole marathon, which is already behind schedule, so... I will plan on going to the final dungeon, and then... So, Lefane is our next stop.
I think there were a couple other donations that came in that I might have missed, so while you're doing this nice long walk down to Lefane and talking to the people...
Great time for it.
We'll get... Perfect time for it. We had a $50 donation from Shogun Gundam 04, donating for the Mario Galaxy 2 Perfect Run. Thank you for that donation. And then I believe this is probably... there's no specific game reference, but knowing the previous games that we've drawn in other marathons, thinking this is probably for Dragon Warrior 3 randomizer. 7285 for the cat percent is best percent meow. That was their comment.
Nice.
Thank you for that donation.
That may have actually been for Breath of Fire, which had a cat percent sighting.
Does it? Perfect. Okay.
But no, the streamer, his cat jumped into the webcam.
Oh, there we go. Perfect. Well, still, thank you for that donation. Just in case it didn't get read, want to make sure we got your donation read on air. We appreciate all that you're doing to help support this marathon.
Real quick, I didn't get to see the whole thing, but basically somebody asked about those little cutscenes and the doors that were opening up. The bonus dungeons in this version unlock based on defeating the fiends, so whenever you defeat this fiend, their statue gets out of the way, and you can go into the bonus dungeon.
The bonus dungeons, I believe, were introduced in the GBA version of the game, and then the PSP version adds on yet another one afterwards that's at the end game.
Yes, but it's trash.
Oh my god, yeah.
I tried it. It's not fun.
No, it's hot garbage. I saw one marathon run that did all the bonus dungeons, and some of them are fun. Like the elemental dungeons aren't too bad, but that last dungeon is really terrible.
Yeah, so we're able to run from a lot more stuff now. Survival vests help for that. Plus, we have a ton of levels against this early-ish game stuff now. Oh, this is unrunnable. Silly me.
Oh yeah, the zombies.
Yep.
Yep. Yeah, that's the one unfortunate thing about this, and it's something that the randomizer spoils you on, is the fact that the game doesn't tell you what's runnable or unrunnable. There's no switching run to wait like we get used to for the NES randomizer. So it's a lot of times you just have to know what's runnable or unrunnable. I was watching from the RPG Limit Break runs of Final Fantasy II for the NES. That one is particularly bad because you can have encounters that are runnable on one floor and unrunnable on another. And you're just if you don't have that game memorized, there's no way to know. So.
Yep, pretty much. I've done some FF2 runs, and that's pretty accurate.
I contemplate picking up the NES version of it. I'm sort of going, if I actually play this game, I'm just going to have to grind to all hell for it, because I'm not going to be able to remember what's runnable or unrunnable in that game.
Well, I'll say this. That might be, in favor of the player, the most broken OP game that there is in terms of RPGs. The NES version, specifically. So, the NES version of Final Fantasy II, they don't take random encounters. Random encounters are a suggestion. But if you take them, you can attack, cancel 100 times, and level up your sword by 1 level. So in 16 fights, you can be max level.
Yeah, it's brokenly ground up, and you can do that for basically every weapon, all your spells, everything else. It's stupid.
Oh, Nasir, we love you.
That's just a trait of the NES ones, that there's a lot of good stuff in there, and there's a lot of broken stuff in there, too.
And make no mistake, that's not sarcasm. Nasir gave us some fantastic games, and even if you're not so much into the older Final Fantasies as the newer ones, that all traces back to his work, so...
Yeah.
Tremendous contributions he gave us in video gaming.
100%. And it does this the game-breaking bug we have in this one with the equipment glitch does feel in some ways like it honors the traditional game, because, you know, there's some stuff that's broken, and it just didn't get caught, and now we get to abuse it.
Yeah, and it's like... Also, it's just kind of that fun irony of, okay, you think you can make a non-broken game without Nasir? You did this. This blue dragon's a trap tile. We have to fight him, but no big deal.
We also saw Blaze off of one of the chimeras there. That spell doesn't seem to do too bad when you have the ribbon equipped.
Ribbon strats are great.
Mm-hmm.
Medusa's, we have to worry a little bit about their ability to turn you into stone, but again, we've got a ribbon. Now, there is something that I should mention. Now, this has never happened to me in a single run of the PSP version of this game. However, I'm saying there's a chance. If we see Warbeck, I will have a safety safe in front of him, and we'll take our chances. But I have no idea how it would go, because I have never had a chance to practice it. But the way this marathon run has gone, I ain't putting anything past the game.
So, you heard him right here, folks. Make sure you bless RNG so we can see our robot chicken overlord. Because there's a chance.
There is absolutely a chance.
I see you heading off to the left here. Are you going for a particular piece of gear?
Nope, I'm forgetting which floor I'm on.
Okay, cool.
Like I said, the one absolute strength of the NES version versus the PSP version is PSP zooms in. So you don't see the whole floor. So I don't always see the visual cues I'm used to.
Yeah, this is what we call the asterisk or sky spider floor when we play the game on the NES version. And you can see it because you can see most of the asterisk right when you load up on here. I will agree with you, it's kind of hard to judge what floor you're on just based on where you, like, teleport in on such a zoomed-in, like, little screen.
And question in chat, there's a ribbon equipped on the shield slot.
Because this game is broken.
And my equipment now is a barbarian sword as the weapon, a ribbon in the shield slot, 3 survival vests, and in the first inventory item is a judgment staff, which casts nuke.
And we've had since the beginning of the game. Yeah. Are you going up right, up left? Where are you going?
I do upright.
Ugh. It's a point of contention in the community.
Will it make you happier if I go left?
Nah, it's fine. You do what you're comfortable with. I don't want you getting confused there. So I note that the ribbon, having an animation for the shield, uses a sword animation.
Yep. I mean, you can't exactly block with a ribbon. Who would have thought to put a sprite in for that? It just happens to work out that way.
I would have just assumed we'd have like the cape swing or an actual shield or something instead.
Chad asks, why would I need to safety save? I have 3 survival vests. Nuclear.
Yeah, nuclear is not a skill you want to see at all. What does Warmack have on him? Is it just nuclears, or does he have any nukes?
He should have the same skill set, so 3 nukes. That didn't happen. You saw nothing.
I was going to question it, but then I realized I didn't see anything, and it's fine.
Now, there's still a chance before we walk off the floor.
Shackle Draconis asking how you got a judgment staff at the beginning of the game. Well, what he got was a cap, and due to the broken equipment glitch in the game, he turned that cap into a judgment staff, because logic.
So just the difference in versions, or difference in RNG of the run. My PB, I'd be finishing now.
Yeah. That's how far behind we are right now. It's just because of the fact that the game decided to give you every encounter ever.
And it's
Another gorgeous sprite right here as you cast Haste. And Thunderbolt comes down. That's Thunder in the NES game, correct?
Yes.
Okay. One good swipe and Tiamat is already dead. Like, a hasted red mage swinging a barbarian sword is pretty broken.
And you absolutely can get Wormex in this version when they do the Total Chaos tournament, which is the PSP any percent. There's definitely been a few Wormex show up in that.
I have seen that. And everyone's like, oh my, I got Wormex, look at that! But it is still a rare encounter.
Yes, very rare. In fact, it's more rare than the NES version.
Is it still sitting on the Encounter 7 or Encounter 8, or is the encounter system completely different here?
I believe it moved from 7 to 8.
Then that would explain why it's rarer.
Yeah. Because it was actually changed to 7 in the North America version. It's 8 in the Japanese version.
Oh, okay. And then just moved back, or they just used the Japanese version as the basis.
Yeah. So there was... apparently the reason they did that was a Nintendo Power contest. They wanted to get a picture of the first person to see Wormek.
Ah, okay.
So they made him a little more common to be sure that somebody would.
Astral Slide asking why so many RPG monster summons are called Tiamat. Seems like every JRPG needs to have their own Tiamat. Well, Tiamat's a creature from myth. I'd actually have to go look it up online, but there's a lot of RPGs that use plenty of characters from myth and legend of various cultures. Tiamat just happened to be one of them. It's part of the reason why it shows up in D&D as well.
You probably see more of those than you even realize that the character creature is from myth. So the Chimera is another example. Even the Imps. Imps are a mythic creature.
Yep. Yeah, there's a lot of that. And then RPG sources like to borrow from each other and from popular or from past myth and legend, anything that might be considered public domain, to populate and give their games a certain amount of zest. So with the 4 crystals lit, as you saw, we open up the Black Orb, and the Black Orb will now warp us 2,000 years into the past, into the Chaos Shrine, or if you're used to the NES version, Temple of Fiends Revisited. Yeah. Also, if you saw that dark cloaked figure before. Okay.
I did a second save slot so that I can go back to the bonus dungeon.
Ah, okay. Fair enough. So we, just pointing out that there was that cloaked figure with his little own mysterious cutscene. That he leads you to the path for the last of the bonus dungeons.
Yeah,
but that's not the bonus dungeon we'd be playing.
So the other big thing is with the RPGs is when something is just established, it's easy to use it as a point of reference. So, you know, when you make a video game and you throw a dragon in there, people understand that this is supposed to be a hard enemy.
Yep.
Because that's how dragons are always treated in these games. So they're just borrowing an existing mental model to make it clearly understand things. It's information density, blah blah blah.
So the Chaos Shrine is a dungeon that feels like it's a ton of floors, 12, 13 floors. It's really a lot less floors than that, but the fact is that the path of the Chaos Shrine laps back and forth around itself through the few floors that it has. So you're taking a lot of stairs, but you're not actually crossing that many full floors.
It's only something like 8.
Yeah, total. Also, we got a donation from ManBeast MTG for $10, saying, "Glad to donate to a good cause, and we are glad to have your donation. Thank you very much."
Okay, this Death Eye was known as the Phantom in the NES version. Obviously, he's no threat, but he's also no reward either. But I do have to remember one very important thing here as we get the Green Dragons, which is another unrunnable encounter. Very delicious amount of experience. This is the last treasure chest that I have to pick up for the game. It's my last complete heal.
And that'll be very useful because Chaos has a number of nasty spells he can cast, and I'm assuming you're going to have to heal up once or twice within his fight.
A little bit.
Yep.
Alright, so we are past the gate. We've finally used the loot that's been sitting in our inventory since the start of the game. This one is a classic case of I'm killing it because it's too annoying if I fail to run from it. They'll use spell animations and just take too long.
That's fair. The Chimera Rios battle, which is traditionally in the NES game called the Chimera Chimera pack. Unfortunately, you weren't able to kill off the Rios, and they get to do some of their animations.
Their HP is just a little high for them. But they're also a good source of experience, so I don't mind that. I haven't actually hit 50 yet. You only need it for Chaos.
So not the end of the world, then.
Yeah, but it doesn't hurt either to get it as soon as possible. Like I said, if I could actually do this with no random encounters and just get it from crap tiles, that'd be fantastic.
Yeah.
Getting too many of these. This is pretty much how this run has gone.
Yeah. If only there was a debug menu in this game where you could just crank the encounter rate down, or turn it off completely.
One of my favorite quality of life things anybody put in a randomizer was lowering enemy encounter rates.
Yeah. Oh. Yeah, I play the randomizer for this game on the NES, and then I go and I play the original version of it, and you're just sitting there going, encounters happen all the time. Can I not turn this down? This is crazy.
So this is an unrunnable formation. The Ice Gigas and the Winter Wolves, but the Wolves cast Blizzard, so we quickly clear them out of the way with a Judgment Staff and have to do one more with the Giants.
There you go. Yeah, this would be the Frost Giants, Frost Wolves in the NES game.
So they can actually do AoE damage and can be quite a threat as far as an unrunnable encounter goes. But you get better turn order with all that agility from the survival vests plus the levels. Purple worms, that'd be the ideal encounter. If I got all purple worms, that would be great.
So a question in chat from Piercing Mountain, was there a reason why they called it Chimera in the FF1 NES version? Probably because there really isn't an alternate version of a Chimera, and they just decided to use a similar name to indicate that the two versions of the enemy were related. And then they gave it a different name because they gave it a different name.
We have now reached the Earth. And what is it about the Earth today that I'm getting the hero runs?
Lovely! Well, there's the unrunnable Earth Elemental packs that are fun to find. Hey, look, there's an unrunnable Earth Elemental pack. Almost like I commentator cursed you there. Now, there is the Gur Medusa pack, which is called the Earth Medusas, as we saw them over on Sky. You can get a nice large pack of them here, and they're worth good experience.
They are. My levels are pretty set now. I'd hit 50 just off the bosses if we didn't get any randoms, but these Earth Elementals are unrunnable, so I have to dispatch them.
Is the cap 50 in this game, or did they raise it to 99?
It probably goes to 99, but I've never tried it.
Okay.
I've gotten up as high as 54, 55.
Well, then, yeah, 99 is probably to be assumed. I just know the NES game is capped at 50. And you're ambushed.
I am. That's unfortunate, especially because they're wasting time with a bunch of spells. The good news is, although they resist all of the elemental stuff, Judgment Staff's non-elemental.
That was something we were talking about earlier, the fact that there are non-elemental spells. It's great when you're doing it against enemies, because if they have elemental protections, they will not be able to defend against spells like Nuke, for example. The unfortunate thing is that there are non-elemental spells that can be cast against you, not just Nuke, but some of the other ones. And your ribbon is not going to protect you against any of that, which is part of the reason why. Part of the reason why Triton is actually showing some respect to Lich right here is because of the fact that we're expecting a first turn Nuke off of Lich 2 here.
Yeah, if he casts a spell, that's what he's going to do. So,
Yep.
As long as I'm full health, all is well.
So you haste up so you can do more damage so that when you start swinging against him, and there it is, there's that flare, that first turn Nuke we were expecting, and that will go right through the ribbon because ribbon don't care. Thankfully you have a ton of health, so. And even in this version of the game where all the bosses have buffed stats, Lich is still a pathetic speed bump.
And I will throw this out there now, just as we're starting to get close. We're only a couple minutes away from Chaos. Speed Gaming, if you want me to keep going and do the bonus dungeon incentive, or if you want to get back, if you want the time back to keep the marathon on schedule, give me a heads up in the chat there, and we'll.
I just heard from Fiesel, and he says we can do the bonus dungeon.
All right, fantastic.
Awesome.
Welcome back, everyone. Apparently, we had a quick refresh there.
Well,
everyone
that
is
is
feeling refreshed.
That is the thing with the system. It does need to get refreshed once in a while, otherwise it runs for days and starts to lag, so. But yes, we will be doing the bonus dungeon after this. Hopefully you guys got to see the Lich kill, where Lich was completely destroyed in 2 rounds. And I know you don't even respect Carrie at all. No haste, and you don't even heal for her either, despite the fact that she casts Fire 3.
No, she's not a strong mage, and that's elemental, so we've got the ribbon to resist it. I probably should have done haste. It may have speeded that up by 1 round.
Maybe.
Depending on
Well,
crits.
it depends. It took you 3 rounds to kill her.
Yeah,
and
so I would have had to
like,
one-shot her to make it.
To make it worthwhile, yeah. Because otherwise it would have been a wash. And maybe slower, honestly, because of the fact that you'd have to cast these.
Right, so seafood party platter here. Again, the levels are already sufficient. I don't need anything, but then you get water elementals in their own levels, so nothing I can do.
Well, and trying to get away from that with your run chance, even if it is okay, there's still only so much you can do. Yeah, water elementals, earth elementals, and fire elementals in the game are all unrunnable. Air elementals, for whatever reason, are not.
In fact, I made use of that earlier. I was actually running away from the air elementals.
I just forgot to comment on it at the time. I do think, if I'm not mistaken, though, the air elemental paired with the Gurnaga, though, is unrunnable.
No, that's runnable.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah.
I could have sworn there was some weird thing about that, but I'm just...
But it's decent experience.
Oh, yeah, no, the Gurnaga is fantastic experience. It's like the Sky Palace's version of the EXP Pinatas. You see it and you're like, well, I could probably take this one.
It's a case of they're like 80% of an eye. The eye is just ridiculously good, so it's good.
Oh, yeah. White Sharks are a decent experience, but without the big eye, they're not worth as much. However, of course, you still just the snap to try and get everything to go away.
Yeah, again, it's just the run chances aren't great, and now we're talking about high-level stuff instead of low-level stuff. So the less time I can waste, the better. And then this happens! This has been the most obnoxious encounter rate I have ever seen on a playthrough of this game.
Oh my god. Yeah. It's awful. Can't get away from anything, forced to fight way too much. It's crazy. So for those that are wondering, yes, it is a red mage with 3 other heroes that are laying on the ground. They're not dead, though. They're actually there making sure the floor doesn't run away. They are doing a very important task.
Can't let that floor escape.
Where would we fight if we didn't have the floor? So we're going to haste up this time and get ready to fight Kraken. Kraken 2... Oh, he's doing Thunder. Does he traditionally do a lot of melee hits in this version of the game?
Against the survival vest, it's just nothing.
Okay.
It's the best absorb armor, so there's just not taking any damage from him.
And
I would rather he do physical attacks.
Yeah, no kidding. 2 powerful sword swings from you, and Kraken is dealt with, and we're already that much farther into the dungeon. Like, I think it's the encounter rate itself that's proving to be the boss to you this time, and not really the bosses.
I'd say that's fairly accurate. So I do use haste on these to cut a round off. It would take 1 or 2 more rounds to beat Tiamat and Kraken, without question. Thunderbolt's going to be pretty strong. He can also do non-elemental damage with poison. This... Well, that would be an insta-kill. That would be toxic in the NES.
That's the stone poison. Yeah, Scourge. No, Toxic's a death spell, isn't it? Stone Poison's a different thing. Yeah. Because of the confusing thing about the NES, where there's 3 different spells that use poison or poison-like names, and you're like, which one is this again? More Mind Flayers with their death touch that you probably aren't going to see.
It wouldn't really matter if they tried at this point.
So how's our level looking at this point, since we're at Chaos?
55 is about as high as I've ever done this fight at, so we're in great shape, but I do need to do just a little bit of inventory management. Where's that defense? It's an elixir somewhere.
I was about to tell you where it was, but you, are about good 10-15 seconds ahead of me on stream, so there's no point in pointing it out to you.
So I've got a very specific opening sequence that I do against Chaos, but what he does is actually random.
So I saw you had the Giant's Tonic there. Is that a consumable saver spell, or does it do something else?
It increases your max HP. It's single use for the battle, and I'm going to use one of them here, but I purchased 11 in case of Warmech.
Fair.
Alright, nice to start first.
Right here. So you get the Giants... Oh, you're going to get the Defender out first. That's the defense sword, the casting ruse on yourself?
That's correct, so we want 3 of those to max the evade.
I know that the spell effect, it gives you the blink effect there, which is kind of similar in style in the later games.
Alright, just need to not see a terrible damage roll here. Good.
Perfect.
Alright, we need to do one more defender.
I was wondering. I thought the count was at 2.
Yeah, it's just a question of how much damage he does. If he happens to miss a melee attack, I can get all 3 up before I have to heal. But you need 2 rounds because you have to use the Giant's Tonic first.
Yeah.
Alright, here comes Slow. That's actually a good time for it, but we still want it to miss.
As all of your party members land on the ground face first, but only one of them gets back up.
Alright, now it's on. This Chaos has 20,000 HP. There's our first 2,000. You think this is good music? The bonus music is better. That's 4,000.
Are we on largely hold A and pray strats now?
No, we're still going to have to heal.
Okay.
Unless he just does an amazing sequence of melee hits. 6,000.
And we're still worried about that Cure 4 coming out from him and healing himself back to full, correct?
It's actually the reason I need 3 full heals.
Okay.
And that was a shield block. Nice. So 8,000. 12. No, 10. 12. I'm obviously very much rounding. It's more like 13 right now.
Yeah.
If not 14.
He had some low hits, but she also had some really nice high hits, so it all kind of comes out as a wash.
And
when you're talking about having to do 20,000 damage to him, an ish is still kind of, similar.
And there's the full heal. He's still got like 5,000 damage on him though. So that's gonna be around 7.
Yeah, because he can only heal himself for 9,999. He can't heal up the full 20 grand he has.
Correct.
Which is part of what makes this a whole lot easier to play than the NES version.
Yeah, this is a level 54, 55 red mage. He has a lot of MP to answer a question in
a lot
chat.
of everything. Chat's still discussing Final Fantasy II, which we raised earlier, or calling it Saga Zero, which is honestly quite accurate.
Yeah, I need turn order to work out here. We're good.
Cool.
And he shouldn't have enough time to roll back to Cure 4.
So this puts us in the range of how much damage does he have on him right now?
Oh, I've lost count, but we're somewhere around 12, 15.
Okay. So we're looking at maybe 5 more hits max.
That should be the next 2 or 3.
Okay.
Biggest danger in this fight is early, and that's true.
I can't even see it yet.
We'll give you a chance, I'll let him fade off screen, and then I'll reset, we'll go to the bonus dungeon.
Ooh, watch this pretty death animation. As he gets sucked down into a pit. I guess depowered and sent back to the future again, where no one remembers that you fought him and everything resets again. This game is confusing. Time travel, am I right? GG's, though. Well done there. Okay, so we're setting out. We're going to go do the Earth Swamp Dungeon, or whatever it's called.
Earth Gift Shrine.
There we go.
So it happens to be right here. It's unlocked by defeating Lich.
Yeah, I saw there was a cave entrance right over here. I didn't comment it on time because we were hurrying past in the first couple minutes of the game. But that is not a cave entrance that appears in the NES version. That is exclusive to the bonus dungeons right there.
Correct. Now, my levels aren't as good as they were for Chaos, but they're still pretty good. We're in the high 40s. All right.
Yeah, for this dungeon, which you can actually get into pretty early in the game, your 45 should be just fine.
Yeah. So I'll actually be able to run away from most things here, but whenever they're one of these standing guard enemies, I have to kill them.
Okay. And you get variants of all the enemies that you wouldn't see in the traditional game. So we do see imps normally, or goblins, but now we get black goblins. And they gave you a potion. Hooray!
So incidentally, that 223 is still like my 4th best time in this category.
That's awesome.
I should have run from this. Question in chat, which boss will I fight? I'm going to do the Cerebrus here.
What are the boss options in this dungeon, do you know?
I can scroll down on this and tell you. One's the Double Dragon. One is the really weird hanging from the ceiling dude. And one is the Death Eyeball, like you would think from Final Fantasy.
Okay. Are any of them based on bosses from other games, or are these just random enemies?
The boss eyeball in this case probably would be based on later versions, because he looks exactly the same. In other dungeons, you can actually fight Final Fantasy IV bosses like the Fiends of the Elements.
Yeah, I knew some of them showed up, and like, doesn't one of the dungeons have the guy with the swords, whose name is now
Gilgamesh?
Thank you!
I believe he does, but I don't know which one off the top of my head.
Yeah. Everyone loves Gilgamesh and his awesome song.
Well, Battle on the Bridge is quite the song.
Yeah,
I was watching somebody play Final Fantasy V for the first time, and they were having a little bit of a rough go with it, and I said, well, if it makes you feel any better, you're about to hear one of the best songs in RPGs. Because he was right before Battle on the Bridge. And then he gets to there, and he's like, okay, I dig this.
There are parts of that game I struggle with, but man, that song really helps to elevate it so much. We did have a comment in chat saying that you were still going with the solo Red Mage and how that was gutsy. That is the name of this game. This is the solo Red Mage run.
Yeah, well, I mean, what good would the level 1 party members do me here anyways?
Yeah, it's true. They're just meat shields that would die.
But I don't need meat shields.
Nope.
Now, theoretically, I could glitch Judgment Staffs onto them, but they would just do weaker flares that I don't need.
So just reminding you, we are here for the No Kid Hungry Marathon in support of that fantastic organization hosted here on Speed Gaming. If you're interested, please donate. We appreciate all the donations that people provide for this, for the next couple days still of this fantastic marathon.
I'm being corrected, it's Battle on the Big Bridge. I wouldn't want to be in error on that front.
I just think of it as Gilgamesh's theme, because it also plays a couple other times when you fight against it, so... And basically, a version of it shows up in every game where Gilgamesh shows up, so...
So, this is actually not bad RNG. The encounter rate in this area is that bad. This is pretty normal on this walk. Which is why I was giving myself 10 minutes for it. It's not that long, it's 5 floors.
It doesn't seem that bad. And I like the fact that you go down a floor into a dungeon and end up in this weird, dark forest. It's got a cool vibe to it.
It does, and this would definitely challenge you at a lower level if you were trying to do this right after Cave.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I think I'd probably wait until after I'd gone and gotten my floater and gotten a few levels off of an eye before I'd even attempt this normally. And especially if you're trying to do this without the benefit of having those broken judgment staves.
So the inspiration for this run was actually watching the PSP Any% run, and they do the equipment. I'm like, how could I use that to have some real fun in this? Then I thought, well, you know, if I had that flare, I wouldn't even need 4 of the... Oh, boy. So I just got the worst RNG for this part. This can drop you in one of, like, 8 random places.
Okay.
And as you can see, there was absolutely no distinguishing figure, landscape marks, whatever you want to call it.
Feature,
characteristics.
Yeah.
Where I landed. Okay, that's too far a walk.
So you just kind of have to sense where you're at and walk in another direction?
Yeah, there are things that can tell you, okay, 3 with the chest. Wow, this is... If I'm right on this is great. It's just a question of figuring out where it dropped you, and if it drops you with no trees around, it's a lot harder to figure out where you are. But once you understand that it's not actually that long, if you don't see anything in too long, then you figure out, okay, reset, go the other direction. Because there's my staircase.
Nice. And we had desert peeds there, weird, like, scorpions are not actually peed enemies. Very strange.
By the way, the order you get those floors in is random.
The entire dungeon's kind of randomized, isn't it? The first floor remains the same, and then, like, every floor afterwards between until the last floor is randomized, and then you just get down here and then pick your boss?
It's just the order that's randomized. They're the same floors. It's just which order you get them in. So here we go. Here's Cerebrus. Let people enjoy the music. Okay.
Wish we had some of these alt bosses in the randomizer, I'm just saying.
And there we go. That's the Earthgrift Shrine. And that is Final Fantasy 1 with just a red mage, because 1 is all we need.
Only need 1. Well, thank you for having me on here with you, Trenton. This was fun.
Appreciate it. Thank you, Speed Gaming, and hope everybody has had a fun time this morning. And there's a lot more fun ahead as we hand things back to Speed Gaming.
Thank you, Speed Gaming.